they never believe me. Yeah, I would never drop the ball, I know I make it look easy. Yeah, Mayweather with the defense. I don't care what a critic gotta say, I got them picking up the pieces. That to me, you really playing with your life, I'm about to come and run it all back. I'm the new era, about to snap back, you ain't fitting for it, cause you all cap like. Hold up, I shoot my shot, wait, hold up. I'm really about to run this, go up. You know it's all net when it go up. Ain't got no other plans, you don't need to understand, ayy. We on overtime, you don't need to understand, ayy. You just show them how to do it when you don't know what to say. Tell me how you plan to win if you plan to play safe. Moving fast, already gone, yeah, but you bringing me back. Try to double cross me, dog, just let me relax. Stop assuming what we doing, keep it moving, what we doing. Cause it can get dangerous, cause it can get please don't play no games with me, I promise I'm too much. Ay, I can never let up even if you had enough. Ay, this ain't for the faint of heart, we always playing rough. I had enough, it ain't luck. I needed a vision, I needed ambition, I needed a mission to beat in submission with no intermission. I see the collision, the crash in the distance, they coming off track, no. Now when they ask what's the motive, don't talk about the show them. They all about to see what I mean in the moment. I gotta keep going, I'm shaking the dice and I'm keeping it rolling, they already know. Ain't got no other plans, you don't need to understand, ayy. We on overtime, you don't need to understand, ayy. You just show them how to do it when you don't know what to say. Tell me how you plan to win if you plan to play safe. Moving fast, already gone, yeah, but you bringing me back. Try to double cross me, dog, just let me relax. Stop assuming what we doing, keep it moving, what we doing. Cause it can get dangerous, cause it can get dangerous, cause it can get dangerous.
Yup. Good morning, ATP. It's Thursday morning. Come on, let's get it up, man. Let's make sure we're hitting the like button as we're stepping into the room. Salute to everybody who is in here right now. The show is going to be an interesting show, obviously. This is the morning after. We had a lot of news come out yesterday in the boxing space. The algorithm was buzzing, right reasons, wrong reasons, in between. And we, I'll leave that to everybody's own personal taste, right? To kind of figure out how they feel about the information that came out. But we definitely got to talk about it, right? We can't ignore the elephant in the room. But look, this is part of the conversation, and it gets deeper than just speaking about Tank Davis, fighting a Jake Paul, and however you may feel about it. If you're happy for him to be getting to his money, or if you're disappointed in the idea of what it makes American boxing look like, we got to talk about it one way or the other, right? And obviously, I'm going to share my personal opinions as we're getting down to the bottom of this situation. But one thing's for sure, two things for certain, no matter how we're going to paint it, this isn't an inconvenient truth, unfortunate reality, or fortunate reality. This is what we're dealing with. November 14th, the announcement was made. We saw on Tank Davis's social media. He's posted about it. Netflix's social media, Jake Paul's social media has announced and pretty much given a heads up. And from what I understand, maybe even tickets are going on a pre-sale level for this date. Of course, the following week we'll be seeing that huge mega card with that November 22nd card that's going to have David Benavidez headlining in, and we'll see Devin Haney and Brian Norman and all those people on there as well. But this one right here is the conversation that is shaking the algorithm up. Parts of me woke up this morning and said to myself, do we give this any real attention? Do I sit here and give this any attention? I am disappointed, to say the least. First of all, I'm disappointed in the idea of, at a minimum, a rematch with a Lamont Roach was moved over, right? Looked over, passed by. And of course, in an ideal situation, we'd want to see Tank Davis in the ring with the Shakur Stevenson, right? Or one of his peers, right? Generational talents, people who are marking the era. And we wanted to see at least one or two fights from Gervonta Tank Davis that check the boxes for us on what we think. And some of us out here know he is, and some of us think he is, because some of us operate on the Until my eyes see it, I don't believe it. Theory. And I think that's a safe bet at the end of the day, A, because that's the only way to know the real truth. And B, I mean, that makes for great boxing, right? So who wouldn't want to subscribe to that way of approaching things? But it is what it is, right? We have to speak to it to exactly what it is. And we'll be transitioning one way or the other. We're going to find our way back into real boxing that's happening this weekend. Jake Paul, no matter what people want to say, has been a vehicle promoter in a time where we need promoters, people who are going to infuse eyes and draw attention to the boxing space. We've needed it in the past couple of years, and Jake Paul has definitely been part of that machine. And we'll talk about that as well. The opportunities that are going to be there, I'm sure, for fighters that are going to be on the undercard of that event. There's some positives that's going to come out of this event, right? This is not so much about the spectacle that it is being bad for boxing or whatever. There's also good things about it that may come out in the wash at the end of this. But specifically on the Gervonta Tank Davis topic and his career and what we want to see him do, challenge himself and be the best that he can be. It does kind of take a big shout out to my UK brethren, a big shite on his legacy, right? It may, at least, because we are getting to the point now to where if he is going to be making this fight happen, which let's stop saying if, this fight being made may mark the end of a chapter in Gervonta Tank Davis's career. And I say chapter because he very well may return some months or years after to come and kind of reclaim what he left on the floor, right? What he left on the floor, which would seem to be his legacy. But until that happens, it hasn't happened. And at this point, with a Jake Paul fight in the near future, we might have to have the uncomfortable conversation, which is, well, based on what he's done at this point, which might be all he's done, closing it out with a Jake Paul, how do we judge a legacy of Tank Davis? He may not care about it, but we as boxing fans, pundits in the space, that's what we're here to do, right? Talk about legacy, talk about greatness, and how do we have that conversation when it comes to Gervonta Tank Davis from the back end of having a fight like this with Jake Paul. We'll get into this MVP card as well. There's some great fights that are going to be popping off on this 2-day marathon of fights, right? That are going to be going on Friday, Saturday. MVP Promotions will be putting that out. And this is one of the great things that Jake Paul brings to the space. Like I said before, his promoter hat is special talent, right? Generational talent to be so young and garner so much attention. And we have to be grateful that Jake Paul has brought his attention and the people that follow him into this space and grown boxing. Definitely hasn't killed it when it comes to that part. And then we'll talk about also a great card that's popping up in the UK as well. Jack Rafferty versus Mark Chamberlain. Great fight. We talked about it a little bit yesterday, but these things and the boxing that we will talk about at some point on this show today is what boxing needs, and the fans of boxing have been called upon for a moment like this to revisit, audit what you're here for. What are you really interested in? How much do you love this sport? And do you recognize, and will you recognize, the state of emergency that boxing is in right now? Because as everybody's moving through their lives, doing what they're doing, just, kicking the can down the road, and just having a good time and thinking about right now, you may be getting one of the best sports that ever been created. Such a sport so rich in history, maybe slipping in between your fingers. And it's on our watch, ladies and gentlemen, as we are the fans. I'm part of the media in the content creation space right now in American boxing. And to all my fellow content creators, this might be a moment to reflect. This may be a moment to reflect and to really take into consideration how we're going to move forward now, right? Shout out to everybody who is in the building, man. Shout out to Timmy T88 in the building. Actually popped up real early. Timmy popped up real early this morning, about 6 o'clock in the morning. Tapped into the thumbnail and said, "Great point you made at 2 cents. No matter how talented people think Tank is at some point, Jake Paul, when is it enough? Tank will be 31 years old, and arguably his best win lost to a 36-year-old Pac-Man. I mean, listen, we're gonna talk about it, right? And it's time to talk about it because there was before yesterday, Tank Davis had a career ahead of him. You know, there were fights to be made. We didn't know what the fights were. We were pushing for certain fights to be made. But now with this move with Jake Paul, and if we just be honest and start listening to Tank Davis for what he's saying, for the way he feels about the way he's going to approach his career, he's communicated in interviews, and we cannot keep on looking and giving a blind eye to the fact that he's been talking about retiring, this being his last year, him getting out of sport, him being disenchanted with the sport, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This may legitimately be the last of Tank Davis, at least for a while. This might be closing off a chapter in his career. So if we have to analyze and be honest and speak to his legacy for what he's done so far, whether he cares about it, he doesn't care about it, things like what Timmy T88 said here are legitimate points, great observations, and we can talk about it and should be able to talk about it in a fair space. I can't wait to open up the panel today and get the opinion, because at the end, yesterday, it was more of speculation. I think today, if we're going to be honest with ourselves, this is more about what's actually happening, and we should be able to speak on it in that way. Kalia World in the building. Salute to Kalia World. Popped up very early in the chat this morning. The world said, hey Kalia, how you doing? Ill Will in the building said, Clay, salute to you, family. Here for boxing. My God said Tank fans will go to every extreme to defend that kid. Now they got nowhere left to go. They do have somewhere left to go, right? And that's why we're having this show today. They do have somewhere to go. And the place to go is come on back to boxing. Come on back to boxing, man. We ain't mad at you as mad at you as you think we are. We might be holding you accountable. You know what I mean? But we left the light on for you. You know what I'm saying? Wifey in the background said, we left the light on for you. Feel free to come on back. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have to clean yourself up, leave a lot of that ghetto trash behavior you had outside. Don't bring it in here. There's rules to this house. There are rules in this house. But as long as you want to follow the rules and operate in the space of a real boxing fan, and we can all work together to bring boxing back in America to where it needs to be, then listen, we welcome you. There is somewhere else for you to go. But it is seeming to be little space for you to move around on the narrative that you may have had about your fighter just the day before yesterday. You know what I mean? This is what the narrative was. Fanboys lose again, always, man. AK Crowder in the building. AK Crowder in the building. Salute, says blessings, brother Claymore. Blessings received and back at you, AK Crowder. Always good to see you in the building. Des215 in the building. Philly in the building, says Tank fans then ran out of corner straight into another one. Yeah, Des. Yeah, Des, man. It does seem like there's a lot going on. Top of the morning to RC304 in the building, says top of the morning, ATP, back at you, brother. Big Sarge in the building says Claymore Rain. Big up, bro. No doubt, man. Happy to see you guys in the building. Mr. Big Play Bray in the building says, what's good, boxing family? Because I know what's going down this morning. It's got to go down, Mr. Big Play Bray. We got to talk truth. The truth has to be spoken, because there's no other way that this sport that we love can be saved without the truth being spoken from the highest mountain, from the top of the highest mountain. We have to scream the truth. The truth always remains what it is. What's in the dark will come to light. And we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it on a huge level. Shout out to LW Boxing, one of the legitimate oracles in this space, who've been keeping boxing alive, who's been following boxing in a way that most boxing fans hasn't been watching boxing, and he's always kept it 100 and tried to pop up in these different chats and give people some perspective on what's actually happening in boxing. Been a great resource to this channel, and I think been a great resource to the community in general, to let us know as things are developing around your favorite fighter not being active and nothing going on, that actually boxing is in a great space. It's getting bigger. It's an international sport. It's world championship boxing. And, let's not close our eyes and miss an opportunity to tap into the sport where it needs to be, to continue to move this where it needs to go. Right? Mr. Big Play Bray say, I haven't looked at one Jake Paul fight because I think they're fixed. So I'm pretty sure Jake Paul will win this and they will continue to portray his lie. Let's hope that's not what it is, but you never know. You never know in today's space what to expect. And when you have a situation like this develop the way it has yesterday, everything is on the table. Marketing is a very intricate machine tool used to make things bigger than they are at times, and to convince us as a consumer to tap in and allocate our resources behind whatever idea is being marketed to make somebody a whole lot of money, maybe a group of people a whole lot of money. So you never can look past marketing. Anything can go down in this one. Timmy T88 in the building says, fire. Salute my God, man. Back in the building, man. Take Bugs in the building says, Claymore Rain, good family. How you feeling today? Keep pushing with the workouts. Definitely. I haven't gone to the gym yet today. I've actually decided I'm going to go after this show. That's why I came up in here at 9:30. Had things to do this morning, but we ain't going to miss it, man. We staying in the gym. We staying lit. We putting that work in, bro. We putting that work in. We bringing it back better than we left it. You know what I mean? When a brother get a wrench from me. Oh, you right, Tay. Tay, you right, brother. You right. You ain't lying. You ain't lying. Hold on a second, man. You ain't lying, bro. Let's get that together, man. There you go. You right, Tay. Always up in here supporting. You right. You right. James Jameson in the building says, hello, everyone. Salute to James Jameson. Salute back to you, man. SOBTV in the building. Salute, Clay. Salute back at you. Bradley, 6836. What up, player? What's good, man? You know we're going to talk about that boxing today. That's what we got to do, man. Jake Paul talking about AJ, but signs up for Tank. What a joke. Yeah, listen, actually, Jake Paul actually commented on Goliath, right? I believe that's a code word for AJ right now with Jake Paul. And he's just letting it be known, man, he's knocking him down one at a time. He's knocking it down one at a time. He's getting this money. He's going to get this money on. He's going to start off with little old Tank Davis, and then he plans on going to Goliath, man, as he continues to make his own statements and satisfy and satiate his own ambition in the sport. He's doing exactly what he needs to be doing. Actually, you need to celebrate Jake Paul for what he is doing for himself and what he is doing as far as the plan that him and his team came up with as far as why they're here and what they plan on accomplishing one step at a time. He was this close to getting that fight with Canelo Alvarez a few months ago. And look, now AJ even willing to entertain a fight with him. He's doing well, moving around and doing what he needs to do. Let's be honest, right? It is what it is. Bradley says Tank will beat Paul very easily. Will he? Well, I hope he does, right? Because there's a lot riding on I don't know what's riding on him. To be honest with you, I couldn't care if you won or didn't. I'm gonna be honest with you. Let's be honest, right? I really don't care either way. The story is way deeper than a victory over Jake Paul or a loss over Jake Paul, right? It is what it is. Let's tap in, guys, and let's go ahead and talk about it. RC in the building with the super chat, man. Thank you, man, for the support and the color in the chat. By the way, guys, that is there for you guys to use. I got a whole entire new setup coming up, a new overlay setup coming in where my Zelle will be available, my Cash App will be available. Those vehicles are always great vehicles as well, where I don't got to pay YouTube, you know what I'm saying, as much as I do when I do these super chats. But these super chats represent a lot to me. Obviously, financially supporting the channel, but also the color looks great in the chat, and it shows that the community is supporting whatever this channel needs to move forward to the next level. And I hope I've shown it. That I've invested in this, and I'm not just buying Nikes and splurging outside of this channel, investing a lot of time and resources into this channel to be what I hope it could be in the future. So I appreciate any support, any color in the chat that you guys put in. Shout out to RC304 with the $10 holla, says it's way too much raw talent in boxing right now to give us 80s type fights, bro. Keep pushing, play. No doubt, RC, for sure. Timmy T88 with the super stick in the building. Salute to you, Timmy. I appreciate the support, man. I really do, man. Thank you, man. Timmy says, I have some fans saying Tank is fighting 14th ranked cruiserweight Jake Paul, daring to be great. Yeah, man, they're going to continue to do this. They're going to continue to do this, and we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. So, look, story comes out yesterday, and where are we at today? I did a little short yesterday where I dropped a short. If you guys ain't see it, go tap into the short. Hit it with a like button when you go in there. But what did I say? And basically what I said was this has been brewing for a long time, right? And just summing it up pretty easy. It's been brewing for a while now. For the last 2 years, guys, we watch what's been happening with boxing. We watch that the media in America for the past multiple years have lost interest in even speaking about boxing. We watch the structure of boxing disintegrate. We've watched promoters make a lot of money, young promoters, right? We watch one promoter in Bob Arum, who just kind of been playing his position, but, well into his 90s, about 95 years old right now, give or take a year, been here for the long run when it comes to boxing. We're talking about going all the way back to Ali, and we've watched this sport evolve in America specifically. And I would say for the last year and a half, 2 years, the fan base, the American fan base, has had more exposure to what's going on in the UK than they normally would with the introduction of Turki Al-Sheikh to the space, right? That being said, watching how Europe has been able to get behind their boxing. I talked about it yesterday with Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois fighting in front of 96,000 was the estimated number of fans inside of Wembley Stadium watching Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois take their walks into the ring and put on a spectacle of an event. We saw Conor Benn and Chris Eubank do the same thing in front of 60,000 plus UK fans. In America, we find it to be a very successful event if we are watching, 10 to 20,000 people inside of arena watching boxing. And with everything that's done to fill up those seats, from discounted prices on seats to all free seats being given away, anything to give the visual, the aesthetic look of boxing is alive and doing well in America. You might believe that, but then you watch a fight like this come together and you have to ask yourself why, if you're a real boxing fan, no matter what side of the street you stand on, no matter what boxer you stand behind, however you choose to be in the space, this moment right now has to trigger questions as to why and how did we get here. Because if boxing truly has been doing as well as people would like to believe it is, especially when it comes to your face of boxing in Gervonta Tank Davis, a fighter who, if there was any fighter in the space that was finding success in boxing, there'd be no argument that Gervonta Tank Davis was that fighter. The fighter who's selling the pay-per-views, who's putting the asses in seats, who's making the most money, and who has been celebrated by his fans as being the biggest payday any fighter who fights him has. So when you see a fighter like Gervonta Tank Davis, a ride or die, loyal PBC fighter, end up on a card headlining on the other side of Jake Paul, a legitimate argument also can be made that Tank Davis will be the B-side to this arrangement. To see him end up over there chasing money, you have to ask yourself, how well has boxing been doing at this point, and how long can we stay in the dark and continue to make excuses for boxing being where it's at? I've heard arguments made, obviously, for the past 18 months to 2 years about Turki Al-Sheikh's presence in the game and how bad it was for this boxing space. And I always ask myself the question every time I see these things, where was boxing at before Turki Al-Sheikh came in here? And since Showtime went their separate ways with PBC, now ESPN doing the same, where was boxing heading? What direction was it heading into before Turki Al-Sheikh jumped in the game? Because legitimately, Turki Al-Sheikh being in the game may have legitimately kicked a real can down the road, which is the ultimate end of boxing as we know it. We watched our heavyweight division turn into nothing as heavyweight fighters are going into other athletic sports, whether it be football, whether it be other sports. Children are not being encouraged to box. Obviously, it's a dangerous sport, but also not very profitable unless you are fitting a certain cookie cutter look as to what they want to promote and what they want to push. We can go into Jared Anderson as well and his disenchantment with the sport. Tank Davis being right there. The mental health issue as well in boxing, as people who have worked their whole lives, sacrifice from the ages of 7, 8, 9 years old, below that at times and a little bit above that at times, have focused all their energy to become big stars in the sport, just to find out that it's a hype train when they get here, right? When they get to the big stage, they're finding out that it's not all what it's supposed to be cracked up to be. And a lot of people are stressing out in a very crazy way, right? It is what it is. It is what it is. But I digress. How in the world did we get here? How in the world did we get here to where Jake Paul has become one of the biggest stars in American boxing, where Jake Paul is sending offers out to Canelo Alvarez, and Canelo Alvarez is legitimately entertaining these offers, where Anthony Joshua is entertaining these offers, right? Where Gervonta Tank Davis ends up as a current active WBA 135-pound champion, is passing over the opportunity to unify with the likes of a Shakur Stevenson or with the likes of a Raymond Moratala, right? or at one point in time, the likes of a Keyshawn Davis, or even stepping up and leveraging his title to go up into the 140-pound division and fight a Gary Antoine Russell for his title, or fight a Subriel Matias, or fight a Teofimo Lopez. Just so many different options that Gervonta Tank Davis, within a snap of his finger as a face of boxing, could have easily put a fight together, right? And made good money now with a Turki Al-Sheikh in this space, offering great money for the best fights that could be made. How did we end up in this situation? Who was on watch during this time period to allow boxing to get into this space? And has this boxing fan in this space been bamboozled, led astray? Some intelligent content creators who and that's why I've never really gotten into having wars with content creators or, getting too crazy, because at the end of the day, some of them just don't deserve any attention at all. But there is a handful of them who are very intelligent, articulate, you can tell passionate about the sport, but who have participated in this narrative that's been pushed to the point to where now painted yourself into a corner to where you're either going to support where Gervonta Tank Davis and Jake Paul would want boxing to go, or you're going to support where boxing should be going. That's why it always blows me away when we throw shots at Terrence Crawford, when we throw shots at Canelo Alvarez and what Turki's doing, building that card up in the undercard, throwing shots at real fights being put on the undercard, and people not acknowledging that the fact that you don't know who's on the undercard is a reason why they need to be on the undercard. That real boxing needs a chance. And fighters need an opportunity to access the big stage and entertain and help to give a resurgence into the sport. Turki getting ready to put on another event in November that is completely backing the American boxing space, right? Well, it won't be in America, to be in Riyadh, excuse me, but it is going to be Americans on the card, right? David Benavidez headlining the card, defending his WBC title. Devin Haney making his return against a great competition, hard body competition in Brian Norman Jr., who's going to be defending his WBO title on there. We'll have Abdullah Mason fighting for his first title, WBO title, on that card, right? And we'll have Bam Rodriguez on that card, defending and fighting for another title on that card as well. And instead of getting behind this movement and saying, well, you know what? This guy's coming into the sport without a doubt with his own personal needs that he's trying to make sure are kept, his own personal obligation. He has an assignment, right, for Saudi Arabia. People call it sports washing, whatever. Anybody who's going to invest in a sport like this has a right to have personal reasons for wanting to do it, but not skimping. And how can we skimp over, if you choose to skimp over, the idea that he is giving American boxers who are not active over here, who are having a hard time making the biggest fights? Think about the journey that David Benavidez has been on up until this point. Think about how difficult it's been as Canelo Alvarez has been able to secure and become undisputed in a division and pick and choose who he wants to fight, leaving a fighter like David Benavidez, a young fighter, the future of boxing, in a position to where he legitimately can't get an opportunity he's earned because Canelo Alvarez is able to gauge threat and not fight, even if it's a mandatory, a fighter like David Benavidez, to leave him there on the sideline with no accolades. Now going up to the light heavyweight division, potentially facing the same situation, because it seems like the PBC wasn't able to facilitate a fight with him with Callum Smith. Where would David Benavidez be at this point right now without a Turki Al-Sheikh? Right? Devin Haney, who is ultimately frozen out of boxing to a large degree for being on the opposite side of the conversation when it comes to a lot of you guys' favorite fighter in Tank Davis, frozen out of the sport, had to have a perfect record, lost, took a defeat, and almost boxing just completely disconnected from him. Where would he be at without a Turki Al-Sheikh? Where would Shakur Stevenson be at without a Turki Al-Sheikh? Shoot, where would Edgar Berlanga be without a Turki Al-Sheikh? Right? The boxing fan in America has to take responsibility and have some accountability about themselves, about the role and the part that we played in where boxing is at right now. We have to take some accountability. And I would hope that things could change for some people. Some people are just gone and lost and brand new to the game, just wet behind the ear little babies who have no idea about what's happening right now in boxing and just want to support their little tanky tank. They want to support their little tanky tank no matter what. And if you close your eyes and you open your ears to the content being made on some of these platforms and the narratives being pushed, the answer is clearer than a spring morning. A sunny spring morning as to what the problem is with boxing and the lack of knowledge. Man, listen. Shout out to C. Irvin, the Wiz in the building with the $5 holla. I truly appreciate the support for the channel. Since I'm a Tank fan from the DMV area and I don't like this fight. I want to see Tank in the ring with his peers, but I'm not emotional. I'm disappointed. Right. Thank you for the support, and I understand completely. It's not about being emotional, even though at times boxing could be an emotional sport. It's about the future of boxing. It's about the future of the sport in America, specifically. I just watched a UK podcast. Shout out to the Fight Disciples podcast, a UK podcast who just gave some real perspective on everything. And I mean, where I've been at with it, they pretty much co-signed it, I guess, with their opinion. But the world, more importantly, has taken notice to American boxing and where it's at and why it's here too. The focus can be put on the Oscar De La Hoya, who match makes and doesn't develop his fighters into a position to become real champions in the space. We can look at Al Heyman's handling of boxing in the PBC with the management of Deontay Wilder. And we've seen Adrian Broner speak on it as well. And now we're looking at Gervonta Tank Davis and all the money that they've paid out to fighters and how much is a lack of motivation for your favorite fighters like Errol Spence or Jermell Charlo or any of the Charlo brothers to return to the sport, as the price has to make sense. We're watching in real time this happening. The networks have disconnected from boxing. We're watching the WBC do things like put Manny Pacquiao in on a title shot after having a 4+ year hiatus from the sport. We're watching Errol Spence be made number one in the WBC after taking his a dominating defeat from Terrence Crawford, cutting the line in front of Terrence Crawford, and ultimately holding up Sebastian Fundora for God knows how long he held him up. Boxing was in a real bad space, and I say was because with the Turki Al-Sheikh, with the influence of foreign money, boxing has a chance to be resuscitated. But have no confusion about it. Without the influence of Turkey right now, I don't know where boxing would be. It is what it is. You know what I mean? DGO says Benavidez didn't earn shit. The bum was doing gold and failed to make. Okay. I mean, look, man, whatever your personal opinion is, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? And Berlanga is a complete joke. Yeah. Padded up. Matchmaking. Put him in that spot where he's at. Right? He didn't get developed. He just didn't develop. He didn't. It is what it is. You know what I mean? But here we are dealing with it in a real way. Hold on a second. What is this thing doing? Here we are dealing with this in a real way. I'm going to throw the link out there because I'm going to allow people to come up early today and speak on it because I'm very interested on how people are processing the new information we have right now and where we are right now with what we know it is right now instead of it being speculation. You know, shout out to my brother Blue Blood Sports TV as well. You know, 6 months ago was speaking on this happening. Well, really like 4 months ago since Tank fought that night, was speaking on this Jake Paul situation and how it was being developed in the background. I see a lot of content creators putting content out now, very disappointed in Tank. And I see the disappointment on their face. You know, I guess there's something about investing into the career of somebody, right? Having high hopes. You make your whole entire content creation experience about defending this man, fighting against people who share their observation about what he's doing with his career. And you come to find out that more than likely now at this point, everything everybody was saying was true. Now you got to look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, have I been being a fanboy this whole time? A legitimate fanboy? Was I just blind to the reality of what Tank was telling us? Was I legitimately just closing my eyes and picturing him being somebody else as he's just shaking up the world of a lot of fans? Shaking up the world of a lot of fans in the space. You can see it. You can see it. Shelton salute. Good morning to you, family. He says Benavidez is doing what you wish your favorite fighter was doing. 100%. 100%. Yeah, please. 100% doing right there's good. Perfect. Thank you. That right there. Yeah, perfect. Thank you. I appreciate you, babe. Benavidez is doing what you want your favorite fighter doing. He's aiming at fighting the best. The moment he moved away from Jesse Hart and made that fight with David Morrell, and listen, we already knew he was like that, but there were questions being asked at that point, and he knew. He's like, I'm not going down that same direction. And he made that fight happen with David Morrell. He answered the questions. When he sat back with the PBC and was looking to make his next event, he gave an opportunity. He gave an opportunity for the PBC to put him in a position of where he wanted to be, and they weren't able to do it. So now he's over there with Riyadh. Smart move. Smart move. Salute to my brother Shelton Moore in the building. What's good with you, Shelton? How you feeling, family?
What's good with you, Clay? Good 7 a.m. over here in California.
Yeah. No doubt, man. I appreciate you being here this morning, man. Tapping into this conversation.
Tapped in early, man. Tapped in early. Yeah.
It's the morning after. It's the morning after, right? I said, how does Showbiz say? It's the morning after.
The morning after.
We've had time to think about it, listen to a lot of content. We've had time to watch the media space kind of lock it in. Jake Paul's communicated at this point. Tank Davis has communicated at this point. And this is legitimate. This is real. This is what we're dealing with. This is what we have to look forward to. It's happening November 14th. Right.
This is the morning, remember in our military day, you wake up and you roll over and you're like, whoa, what the fuck?
Right. You've been partying. You was out in town for the whole weekend, right? You was kicking it.
Did I do that? Damn. How the fuck I get out of here? What did Tank have to say? I'd like to know that. What did Tank have to say?
Well, let's pull it up, man. That's one great thing. That's one great thing about the internet, right? In 2025, in the space that we live in, we can go to the receipts. Let's pull it up. Let me find it first, but I'll find it. You know what I'm saying? Let's see here. Well, Tank basically posted the event. That's what he did. I don't need to pull it up. He posted the flyer. Thing that Jake Paul posted up, Tank posted up on his media space.
Okay, that's cool. So now we know that. Well, we still haven't had an announcement, but it's pretty much real since they both posting the same thing. Okay.
Right. 100%.
Well, I mean, me, you, other people, we've had this convo before, bro. And a lot of the people, like you were saying, that they just didn't see it. They didn't want to see it because they weren't fans of, some people aren't fans of the sport. They are fans of a man. They're fans of a fighter. Just like in football, you got some people who aren't football fans. They're just fans of Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady or, wherever they go, that's their team. You know what I'm saying? When you're a fan of the sport, you don't put all your eggs in the basket of one fighter. You want all the fighters to do well. You want the sport to grow. And these new fans aren't like that. If it ain't Tank, then they ain't even trying to watch nothing else. They don't care about anybody else. Everybody else is trash.
Right. I mean, how much accountability? Because for me, that's what it's about, right? It's not about Tank Davis. It's not about Tank Davis making this decision so much, right? Like, I mean, it could be part of the conversation, but I just think the deeper part of the conversation is for everything to culminate to this point. And I'm talking eyeballs on the YouTube space, the content creation space, the fans, the Black American boxing fan, and the American boxing fan in general. How much accountability at some point does there need to be for the state of boxing being where it's at right now? And we got to be honest, because the American space of boxing is a joke around the world right now. It is legitimately a joke in comparison to all these other markets, Japan, the UK, right? When you're talking about these other markets and the amount of people they're able to pull inside of a building or arena to watch some fights that we would consider over here pointless, right? On the stage of world championship boxing, but more so representing the passion that the world has for this sport. How much accountability do we need to take as far as the lack of passion, enthusiasm behind this sport, and how much energy we put into one fighter to get it to this point?
Well, you've seen in the last, let's say, 9-10 years how tribal the United States has become. Am I right?
Oh, definitely. Especially, I mean, I think that's the core. Yeah, 100%. The foundation.
Yeah, we've become very tribal. Right. Where, like you said before, when I was coming up, when I was a youngster in my 20s and 30s, we pushed America. We celebrated American. Everything. It wasn't about one person. We supported all Americans, no matter what they were doing.
Right.
Whereas now, you got these people with this guy and these people with that guy. And everybody's fighting against each other because everybody wants their guy to be the guy. Mm-hmm. And we can all be better as a collective, but people don't see it that way. And I understand it because they haven't been raised that way. What they've seen, they've become what they've seen, which I understand. Now, when it comes to boxing, I just think that one of the reasons that boxing is in the state it is in the United States is because the guys that we would have are heavyweights, our light heavyweights, even some of our super middleweights and middleweights. All those guys are either on the basketball court or on the football field.
Right.
Making more money because 100%. They make lots more money and it's a lot easier. Boxing is a singular sport and it's very, very it's a very grueling, it's a very hard sport because you have to be so disciplined.
Right. And it's dangerous. You can die.
And it's a very dangerous sport. And it's painful. The training is intense. And in the beginning, let's just be honest, you don't make that much money. That's why I couldn't understand. I can't understand. That's why I can understand why some of these people who really don't know much about boxing think that, Dana White gets involved in boxing, my fighters aren't going to make any money. He's going to broke. He got sued because he didn't want to pay his UFC guy. What he was paying those UFC guys is way more than undercard or prelim card fighters make.
Mm-hmm.
You might get a dude, they might pull in a dude to fight. Let's just throw out a name. They pull in a dude to give Troy Isley a fight, right? Troy Isley might make 40, 50 grand. The dude he's fighting might make 500 or 1,000.
Right. I'm be honest, I don't think Troy Isley's making that much. I'm telling you. I think he's up in the
maybe 5,000 at the most. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? So those guys aren't making any money. So that's why I'm such a big proponent, if it happens, of the TKO League. Because now you got the Johnny Rices of the world, the Michael Coffeys, the guy that Lester Martinez beat up on Pro Box. Those type of guys can get in the ring and actually make some money, actually support themselves through their sport. Where they don't have to box at night and on the weekends and work at Target during the day.
Right.
You see what I mean? That's the difference. But people who don't understand the sport truly don't understand that. And they think that all these guys are making 50, 100, 200 grand a fight, and that's just not the case.
Right.
Is that it?
My guy Ed McQueen in the building. Salute, family. How you, Ken?
What's up, Ed, man? I haven't heard from you. I haven't heard from you since all day yesterday. You got to tell, how do you feel about, I got to hear it, man. How you feel about this, man?
It's par for the course because of everything that you just mentioned. The thing that always perplexes me, I'm not gonna say always, but it's like once I saw this thing for what it was. You ever see that movie, The Bird Box, and that one scene where dude is trying to get homegirl to look out the window and open her eyes?
Yes.
I didn't see that movie, so I ain't gonna lie to you.
Folks talk about integrity and all this other stuff. That just, when was the last time it applied to boxing?
Right.
Probably over 100 years ago. And I'm being generous when I say that. There's been fixed fights. There's been fighters that couldn't get certain opportunities because of their race. You had certain opportunities that weren't granted to guys because of mafia control and so on and so forth. You had George Foreman. This is the 50th anniversary of George Foreman's exhibition after he lost to Muhammad Ali. He fought 5 guys in one night. Muhammad Ali, he had exhibitions in Puerto Rico and so on and so forth. So it's like, what integrity? And then also speaking of Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier, guys like that. Joe Frazier was legally blind. The dude was blind in one eye, and folks still trotted him out there, sent him out in the ring. Gypsy Joe Harris, same thing out in Philadelphia, like in the 60s. Dude literally had one eye, was cheating on exams, and they still letting this man fight. So it's like, what integrity?
Right.
So the way I feel about it is, listen, if the money is there, get paid. For all the other guys, I think that we got to spend more time talking about them as well. Like you were just talking about a couple minutes ago, Clay. And this is nothing new with the American fan base. There's a interview with Floyd Patterson from 1985, and he talked about his loss to Ingemar Johansson, right? Who was from Sweden. And we talking about the 50s. He said he got more fan mail from people of Sweden, and they were consoling him and congratulating him and just showering him with praise and adulation for his valiant effort. And back here in America, people was looking at him like he wasn't nothing. And that's ultimately what led to him buying property out there in Sweden and living out there for a little while. He and his wife, because it was an outpouring of support. So this is nothing new. You know what I mean? So the way I see it is, if you got a certain opportunity and it's too big, too lucrative to pass up, you better go get that. Or you might be like Sergio Martinez. Sergio Martinez only made, if I'm not mistaken, it was like $900 to fight Antonio Margarito.
Really?
Yeah, it's in his documentary,
was that after
Marvia.
the
It's
ball?
on Tubi.
On Tubi?
Yeah, but in this documentary, he spoke about that. Him and Lou DiBella, when he fought Antonio Margarito, he only got paid $900, bro.
Wow.
Here's
It's that
another
shit that
fun
Shelton was
fact
just
for
talking
you.
about.
Here's another fun fact for you before you finish, Ant. Larry Holmes was signed to Don King. Before he won the title in 1979, he fought 7 times. Guess how much he made? In 7 fights, he
How much
made
is that?
$700.
Wow.
God damn.
Wow. Yeah, bro. But okay, that being said, right, and understood. Boxing, when we see somebody like a Turkey Al-Sheikh stepping into the game, right, and he's bringing decent paydays, or you see a structure like TKO trying to come out and they're trying to organize and give people consistent paydays, really give fighters a way at a career in boxing to where they can build themselves up accordingly. They can make, a couple thousand dollars per fight. They can have access to training facilities, high level training facilities, medical coverage, physical therapy, things of that nature, recovery, science. They can have access to the best I would say the best technology combat sports has to offer. Wouldn't that be a move in the right direction for boxing? Being that we know boxing is coming from this space, why do we speak about it as if that structure coming in is corrupting the sport? Like the sport wasn't corrupt already, like you've so eloquently put and stated how multiple years ago, going into the 50 to close to 100 years ago, this sport has been operating in a certain way that has just been completely outside of integrity. Why would we fight so hard and push back at structure and what would look like to be in a move towards integrity? Maybe not all out integrity. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of shade that we're going to be able to throw and highlight as far as the things that are going to come out of this TKO thing, boxers not being treated right to a certain degree. But why push back on it so much with that understanding that you just communicated with us?
Ignorance.
Skepticism.
And ignorance.
Wait, hold on.
You don't know the history of the sport. Go ahead, Ed.
Yeah, no. Go ahead, bro, because you cooking. Like you just said,
go
ignorance. And the only thing I would say is skepticism and folks being territorial. Because the one thing, one of the main pushbacks that I hear against Turki Al-Sheikh is that this guy's from another country, and we forget that boxing is a global sport. But us as Americans, we arrogant as hell. Let's just face it, we're arrogant, bro. Like we think that everything revolves around us. Boxing wasn't even founded in America. It was founded in Great Britain, and the rules by which boxing is governed by was established out there in Great Britain. You know what I mean? The Grand Marquis of Queensberry rule. But somehow, some way, we think that because there was this American explosion in boxing, that somehow it just belongs to us exclusively. So that when you got somebody coming in from another place, he's a new face, there's skepticism. And I think that a lot of folks would rather deal with the devil they know than get to find out whether or not this person who is a new face is a friend or a foe. It's just like, nah, I don't trust him. Just off the rip. And like Shelton was just alluding to, ignorance, bro.
Ignorance. Look at what we talking about right now. Look at what we talking, us three up here. Look at what we talking about right now, Clay.
Right. And what would you
pull 10, 15, 20 boxing fans and ask them to talk about these things? They don't know, because most of the guys that you interact with, that Ant interacts with, that I interact with, their history of boxing goes back to Floyd Mayweather.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
Maybe it might go back to Tyson or Lennox Lewis. It might go back that far. But usually we deal with people who started watching boxing because of Floyd Mayweather. So that's all they know. They don't care to research. They don't care to go back and learn the history of the sport. They go from Floyd on. That's what they've seen. So it's all about money, money, money. Who's got the O? Who don't got the O? One loss, you're trash. You see what I'm saying? They don't look at this.
I hear you 100%. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I have another question, which is, who do we want when we look at a Turki Al-Sheikh? What is he a threat to? Is he a threat to us as boxing fans? Is he a threat to fighters? Is he a threat to what is he a threat to exactly? And
their narrative. He's a threat to their narrative.
And that's what I want to get. What's the narrative? What's the threat and what's the narrative that
I'll tell you, in our space. Now you can correct me if I'm wrong, but in our space, in the Black American boxing space, that every Black American should be behind Al Haymon.
Yeah, I think that's definitely part of it.
And if you're not behind Al Haymon, then you're a coon and a sellout.
Right.
Well, you can see, if you really know the history of the sport, if you watch Al Haymon, you see what he's doing. All Al Haymon is doing is using the Don King playbook.
Country, how you doing, man? I don't know who you are. I don't know
if Don King playbook.
Morning, fellas.
Good morning.
What's up, bro?
Here you go.
Okay, y'all do know who that is. What's up, man? How you doing, brother? Yeah. I got nervous.
I'm all right.
I was waiting a second. I didn't know what was gonna pop up. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna give you a couple minutes to figure it out.
I understand. Shelton knows me a little bit.
Yeah, I know you.
I've seen you over here before. Yeah.
Yeah, he uses the Don King playbook. Pay him low, low guarantee, get him to fight. Give him some money on the back end. That's the Don King playbook. Don King was doing the same shit for years.
Yeah. I wanna hold on one second. Just want to kind of set the tone, because I want this conversation to move in the direction, because I want to get somewhere, hopefully, right? I don't know where it's going to go, but I want to get deeper into this conversation, because the threat to, and I love what you said, Shelton, right? The threat to Al Haymon and the Black fighters should get behind him. I'm hearing this, right? And I've seen this. Even though we haven't heard from Al Haymon in like 4 years, I don't even know how he looks today. If he was to walk in the room right now, I don't know if I'd be able to identify him, right? But that being said, at what point, let's put it like this. How do you feel like the PBC era of boxing has affected boxing and participated in boxing being where it's at today?
I to be honest, I'm gonna say about me. They maybe did about 30% good stuff and 70% the rest was not good.
Well, let's speak to the good stuff. Let's speak to the good stuff real quick.
I mean, the good stuff is when when they would actually put on some decent cards and have some fighters actually fight each other, that sort of thing. And there was I recollect a few times that there was a card that was PBC that I was enjoyable, but there were far and few in between, man.
Right. What about I'd like Ant to tap into this because I think he can highlight a lot of the good stuff. So I'm interested in this era of boxing being where we are today. What was the good things that end up coming out on the other side?
One thing I do like about the PBC, and I've heard people state that the PBC is a protection program and so on and so forth. But if you look at their track record, quite a few of their fighters have gone on and fought in other places. Like we had Edward De Los Santos fighting on Top Ring. He's a PBC fighter, like when he was fighting against Shakur. And that was supposed to be Frank Martin. Deontay Wilder fighting on Top Ring. We've seen multiple guys fighting now on turkey cards. One thing I like about the PBC is that they don't get in the way of their fighters making money. So when I look at the PBC, I look at them holistically, not just the cards that they put on, but just the way in which that they do business. Like if you want to go elsewhere and you can make $1 or you can get a good opportunity, they don't stand in the way of that. Like anybody else, yeah, they have in-house fights. You'd be a fool not to have in-house fights if you had a certain talent pool or control over the belts. You know, you got everything consolidated. You'd be a fool not to make the most of that. So all of these promoters do that, but I like the fact that they don't really stand in the way of their guys getting other opportunities. If you can get it, hey, go get it. Because far as we know, Al Heyman is what? More of an advisor than he is a promoter. And an advisor would tell you, all right, you want to be a champion? How do we find a path to that? You want to make a lot of money? How do we find a path to that? And it seems like they're willing to be flexible with their approach to how they manage their fighters.
No doubt. Salute to Just Do and salute to Bruce Gas Boxing in the building and salute to King Brian in the building as well. I mean, I think probably the biggest thing that the PBC did for fighters was make them a lot of money, right? That's one thing they did for sure was make a lot of fighters rich. They paid a lot of fighters. I think a Sean Porter, Errol Spence, obviously Tank Davis, a Caleb Plant, a David Benavidez. These fighters, if they're going to speak on their relationship with the PBC, and one of the main things they speak on is the amount of money they will make. The Charlos, that they were able to make a lot of money. And that's great, right? I love the fighters making money. Never want to get in the way of that. I would ask, though, if a fighter comes into the game to make money, and this is going to sound very manipulative because it probably is, but it's part of the game, right? The psychology of a fighter, the psychology of what makes a fighter who they are, as far as from a fan's point of view, to see a fighter, chase legacy and chase greatness and, look to get into the Hall of Fame. And the price that they pay to get there is by providing the fan, because the fans kind of dictate a lot more than I think we want to give the fans credit for, right? Our ability to recognize the greatness in a fighter used to make a difference in a fighter's eye on how he looked on what his career was doing. He looked back at his career and he looked at how he's moving and he's like, yo, what are the people saying? What there may be an argument there to say that that's what the Hall of Fame represents. And fighters who want to get in the Hall of Fame know how much the fans have a lot to do with that. Paying a fighter his biggest paydays to fights that aren't necessarily legacy-driven fights, right? That are more so, entertainment value-driven, right? A knockout that's been highlighted as a big prime commodity in the space of promoting fights, right? The knockout makes the biggest difference. So being able to line up a fighter like a Deontay Wilder or Gervonta Tank Davis in front of fighters who are going to give those kind of fights doesn't necessarily have anything to do with legacy. But once you pay a fighter his biggest paydays on those fights, does it mess with the psychology of a fighter as far as when we need him to be motivated to make a fight like a Gervonta Tank Davis versus Shakur Stevenson, or even an Errol Spence with Terrence Crawford, or any of the great fights that we've wanted to see? Does that mess with the psychology of a fighter when you're trying to make that happen? What do you guys following where I'm going with it?
I hear you, but I got a question on that one, man. I mean, if they're going for getting fighters the biggest paydays, why did they tell Deontay Wilder to turn down the $120 million to fight Joshua? Because that's the biggest payday of all time for him. He would have had generational wealth. His family would have been taken care of. His great grandkids probably would have been taken care of off of that, And you know, there's a lot of examples that I think about, and I know you guys think I'm just maybe, oh, he's just hating on the PBC. No, I'm just looking at stuff they've done, you know, and I mean, just the whole thing with them and Bud and how they you know didn't want him and Spence fighting, and it took him and Spence doing it on their own finally, like way later, which they should have fought way before the wreck of the Ferrari and all that. You know, a lot, and another proof of that is that a lot of times when the why people say that, you know, oh well, you know, the fighters are on PBC Island is because every time they leave, a lot of the PBC fighters leave the island, they end up losing. You know, I mean, and look at Stephen Fulton. He had to go against their wishes and go to Japan to fight Inoue. That was his choice. He did that. They told him not to do it. So right. I don't know, man. I mean, and this ain't like, oh, I just, you know, being malicious against the PBC, but I just seen a lot of actions that go opposite of what you guys are saying on that one so far, and I just don't understand that.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this to the point that you just made. Regardless of whether or not they wanted it to happen or they advised against it, they still had to sign off on it. So they still made it happen, and maybe, just maybe, the reason why they were advising those guys in those situations not to take those fights at those times because they understood the position that those guys were in. Stephen Fulton has admittedly been struggling to make that 122-pound limit. The dude was having to run 3 times a day in a sauna suit. You don't think that the people around him are privy to that? So why the hell would they send him out there being half of himself? Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford, they see what he went through with his rehab process and everything like that, him flipping the Ferrari, and I'm pretty sure that they were also privy to whatever he was indulging in that put him in that situation. And it's no disrespect to Errol Spence, but I'm pretty sure, I mean, there's been videos of people like Leon Muhammad speaking on all of these things about his lifestyle prior to that happening. So you don't think that the people closest to him know that? Like, maybe now is not the time, champ. You got to get your shit together before we feel comfortable putting you in there. But regardless of whether or not they advised him against it, they still had to sign off on it. And they still put the event on. And the same thing goes for Stephen Fulton. Like, they still sent him over there. Now, the result is the result. Win or lose, the result is the result. But the fact of the matter is somebody still had to sign off on it.
Yeah. I think by the way, I've always taken that into consideration as far as
we ain't going nowhere right now. It's early in the morning and it's cold outside.
Hold on, bro. Okay, let me do this real quick.
So I'm sorry. I didn't realize you brought me in. I'm sorry, man. My fault.
No, it's all good, family.
Mm-hmm. All right, my fault, bro.
Yeah, no, I'm taking that into consideration, by the way, as far as, especially with the Errol Spence conversation, because without a doubt, Errol Spence was moving very fast after that accident. He got active way quicker than I think his doctors were probably advising him to. Now he proved himself to a certain degree, you know, to a large degree by beating Danny Garcia and beating Yordenis Ugas and these fights that he had before the Terrence Crawford fight, but was still being moving himself very fast, trying to jump on his opportunities that was there that he probably felt slipping away from him, right? He didn't want his career to slip away from him, so he jumped into boxing as soon as he could, got active, and showed and proved that he could compete, so they had to let him go through. But I guess for me, at the end of it all, where we're at right now, there's an argument there to say that the model wasn't sustainable. It wasn't sustainable. And mainly, if I were to focus on anything, I would have to say the pay-per-view model, the idea of what people would look at as extorting the fights, holding the fights hostage, limited the viewership from people who just weren't in the space to spend $80, $70, $60, $50 on a fight, and maybe not providing enough free fights as they started to creep away from the free fights and just be completely inside of the pay-per-view model. With technology and the internet and what happened with streaming services, the model just wasn't sustainable. And there's an argument there to say that with that model that they had, that they spoiled rotten a whole entire generation of fighters that ultimately put them into a position to now where there's more of a reality check happening as far as the value of these fighters, the money that they're bringing in, the profitability with the networks on what money they were making, that these fighters have no motivation to come back and box in a space like the one that they're in right now. So they're sitting on the sideline. And ultimately, where are we now that we can't find that? Where are we now with that business model and that approach to boxing? How did that affect everything?
The big difference though too, when most of all of us, because we're all older guys, when we were growing up, we could turn on the TV, Wild World of Sports, USA Fights, whatever, this channel, that channel, and we used to be able to see boxing for free on terrestrial TV. That disappeared by the way of the dinosaur with pay-per-view, and they kind of helped kill boxing a little bit or make less fans. Because the problem is they put everything on pay-per-view. And so you cut out a huge part of the audience and a lot of eyes that normally would have probably been in the boxing and been fans, but because it was taken off the air, because when we were kids, we were loving watching that, all the fights on TV. It was exciting. Watching Ali and Foreman and Frazier box on TV, watching, Hagler and Earns and Leonard box on TV, all that stuff. They did do pay-per-views, but early on they boxed, on TV a bit. And I felt like they should bring that back, because that they're going to get more eyes and more fans that way. And the pay-per-view, while it was good to a point, it really kind of, had a bad effect by killing, that's why we got more casuals now.
Yeah, I feel like the fights being free was very much like tilling the soil, and the pay-per-view was always, in my opinion, used as a harvest, right? Like, you tilled the soil with free fights, you provided free fights, you allowed a lot of fans to watch boxing, get into boxing, and then for the biggest fights, you harvested the investment in the free fights, if that makes any sense, right? Like you put on a lot of fights and you made them free, you made them accessible to a whole entire fan base all around the world, and then ultimately for the biggest fights possible that the fans were built up to, they were educated to, they watched and they understood the magnitude of the fight. When it got to that point, it made more sense for there to be a pay-per-view now, for you to harvest all that energy you pushed into tilling the soil, which is building
professional wrestling. That's what professional wrestling did. And 100%. By the time you got to the big fight, everybody wanted to see it.
Everybody understood. They understood why they needed to see it. Like, oh my God, I gotta watch this. I don't watch this whole story build up to this point. Watch all these different fights happen. Watch all these different antics happen. Now it's culminating to this point. I'm not going to get to this point and not catch this event. And that's what's so, for me, I'm very optimistic about what Turkey's doing. We can look at what Turkey represented in the beginning of his introduction to the space, which is a foreign entity coming into the space to take boxing from us. But at some point, there should be some acknowledgement as to whether or not the way he's been approaching it has been effective or not effective. Do we see the trajectory changing? Does it make more sense? When we see him make a move like make Terrence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez a free fight on Netflix and provide the prelims on YouTube, and taking away pay-per-views from the DAZN model and making it to where it's just a subscription to the streaming service, obviously, because they got to make money somehow, but ultimately the pay-per-view model being destroyed. Is he making the right decisions? Is he making the right moves with the way he's approaching it at this point, a year and a half to 2 years into the game? How do we assess what he's been doing?
Can I ask the panel a question?
Oh yeah, we can ask a question, but also answer that question.
It's right there. It's along with your question. With the moves he's made, it's for the whole panel. With the moves he's made, do you think we would have saw Bivol and Beterbiev if he wasn't involved? Do you think we would have saw Crawford versus Canelo if he wasn't involved?
No.
You think we'd have all those heavyweight fights if he wasn't involved? All these things we've had since Turkey really put his foot down. And this is for the whole panel. Do you think we would have had those fights if we had stuck to the same PBC, Top Rank, Queensberry matchroom model? Would we have had those fights?
No. When he came in, they all bowed the knee.
Yeah, I think no, we wouldn't have had those fights. And to be honest with you, to just be frank and honest with you, the competitive side of the sport has gotten better with Turkey's presence. Look at the odds on these fights when he drops them. Look at Vegas. Look at the odds. These fights are way more competitive. The matchmaking is way more honest with the boxing fan. The boxing fan is getting way more honest, competitive fights with the introduction of Turkey. We got too caught up in celebrating lopsided fights and getting caught up in watching that and trying to, make these fights competitive in our minds when most of us go into these fights knowing the outcomes and hoping for upsets, right? Like, oh man, maybe there's an upset. It kind of built that type of atmosphere up to where the whole entire reason you watch boxing became compromised underneath that model of marketing the fights to us, as far as the way the PBC approached it. The competitive nature of the sport got flushed off to the sideline, without a doubt. The competitive part of it was gone. And here we are now anyway. Regardless, if people have questions about what they're seeing, shout out to KO Boxing. He put a video out yesterday, and I really saw the passion in the video. You know what I mean? It was a moving video, to be honest with you, in its own way, right? Like I don't take it, I don't make it personal ever, but it was passionate because what I saw was a man who really loves boxing, who really bet on a fighter being somebody who the fighter turned out not to be for him. I watched him commit, be a needle mover in this content creation space, build his platform up from the ground up, and stand behind a fighter. And I watched a fighter disappoint the living ish out of him. You know what I'm saying? Really blow him away as far as what this fighter was capable of doing, and never believing that. And I asked myself, in hindsight, if it could have been different, would it have benefited this space for a talent like that to have been used to really cover the sport on a more broader landscape? But at the same time, asking, would he haven't even been that as successful as he is if he would have chose that route?
So Clay, can I say something about that? Because that's kind of what I want to tap in about. Just the backlash of how his super fans, and I don't say that to be disrespectful, but those dudes are super fans. How they've reacted since this happened. So I listened to what KO said yesterday, and I could easily poke holes in it because, one, I think it's a knee-jerk reaction. I think when you give these guys 24 to 48 hours to really analyze this and come up with a defense for it, they will. This ain't over yet. They're going to start defending this eventually because they have to, because they're not going to sit around and just suddenly turn on this guy. But the problem I had with what he said yesterday was, Gervonta, you're proving the haters right. No, KO. He's proving the fans wrong. He's proving you guys wrong. He's not proving us right. We've only gave an honest analysis, and you guys sat around for years defending everything he does. He's never been wrong to you guys, and that's where the problem lies. You don't hold him responsible for anything, and everything we say about him, you call us a hater. No, we're not hating. We're giving fair analysis about the guy. So there's not egg on our face, or not on Tank's face. There's egg on your face, because Tank told you his plan from pretty much for the last 2-3 years. He told you what his idea was. He wanted to get money and get up out of here, but that only started when Turkey showed up, in my opinion. So when you're being disingenuous when you blame the haters, no, blame yourself, because you did this. You put him on a pedestal. We tried to stop you guys. You didn't listen. And here we are. Now you got to sit here and backtrack and scream at Gervonta. But don't be mad at Gervonta. Be mad at you. Be mad at yourself. Don't be mad at us. Be mad at you.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think it's fair that the fan base. Yesterday I went up on 2 Cents panel. And usually I don't go up on those type of panels. Like, salute to 2 Cents, but the people sometimes that'll be on there. Sometimes it's just not my cup of tea, right? But just want to take an opportunity to communicate with that space and say, listen, man, it's not about focusing on Tank right now. It's not. Tank is doing what Tank has said he was going to do, what he said he was here to do, and a large part of it for me, it's like if I knew Tank ever since he was growing up, right? Let's say I had a relationship with Tank, a friendship with Tank, and I've seen what he's been through. Without a doubt, I understand what he's doing right now, and I'm celebrating him for getting to this point to be able to do this. It's not about Tank, but the fan base to take an opportunity to revisit their position on boxing and look at look at the aftermath of this whole entire past 5 years of just tearing down other fighters, attacking, getting into it with different channels. Not tearing down Terrence Crawford, tearing down Devin Haney, tearing down Shakur Stevenson, even attacking Lamont Roach when he, got into the game and had the success he had by running into a draw with Tank Davis. And just to see that within the aftermath of that, how much did boxing benefit off that for him to take all of that attention and all that energy you put into him and take it to Jake Paul?
Well, Clay, I don't want to steal the platform, but I have so many moving parts and everything you say I want to speak on. So now let's bring Terrence Crawford up. For the last 3-4 months, what have they been accusing Terrence Crawford and Canelo of? They've been calling it a cash grab. This ain't no legacy fight. It's a cash grab. But the same people calling it a cash grab are now applauding Gervonta for just getting his money. So it's like,
it's ridiculous.
you know what I mean? I think it's so foul the way that these dudes move. And Clay, you know me, I'm a listener. I listen to what you people say, and I remember, and I'm going to bring it back full circle at some point because it's going to come back full circle. Because when you fanboy for so long, eventually the fighter that you love is going to do something that the fighter you hate did, and you're going to have to stand it up. And I'm going to go back 6 months and I'm going to pull that receipt and tell you what you said. And I'm going to put you on the spot. And that's why I'm blocked on certain platforms because I hold you accountable for the things you say. So what's wrong with, at least Terrence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez is a real fight. We have something to think about. This one is so far-fetched in the theory of why are we doing this? You know what I mean? Like and the thing is what people got to understand too, Gervonta fans got to understand is that the criticism is because you still have work to do and you didn't do your work yet. You still have unfinished business. You have work with Lamont Roach. You have unfinished business with him. You got business with Shakur that needs to be addressed, maybe Teofimo. You let Devin go by the wayside. All these fights came and went, and they never happened, all these potential fights. And then you jump in with Jake Paul. You can say what you want about Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford dominated his legacy fight. He's a 4-division champion, 2-time undisputed. He has every right to fight Canelo if he can get that fight. So to criticize him and give Tank a pass, nah, I'm not going for it. Gervonta could have gotten away with this had he at least fought Roach maybe, and then maybe rematch Roach then tried this. Or maybe fought Shakur and tried this. I think the backlash is less, but it's like, how dare you? How dare you pull this stunt when you owe boxing more after everything boxing is giving you? I think he's just foul. I just think he's a foul dude. He's all for self, and his fans found out the hard way. But people who are
But he
more
told
objective
you
and more
that
neutral, yeah,
here for
cool,
boxing.
fine.
He's
I'm
told you
cool.
that.
I'm cool with
On
that. But
numerous occasions, he's told you that. So I don't understand why people are upset when a guy does exactly what he told you he was gonna do.
I don't have a problem with what Gervonta said. I have a problem with how his fans stand up everything he does. Therein lies the problem. His fans don't hold him accountable for anything, and when other people try to hold him accountable, they're labeled a hater. They're labeled jealous. They're just a bunch of labels instead of just being able to hold this guy accountable. Just because he said he's going to do it doesn't make it okay.
Yeah, without a doubt, I understand exactly where Here for Boxing is coming from right now. I'm telling you, I do. Because it's not about being shocked about what Tank did. Nobody, I don't know. If you're shocked, that's you. I can't speak for everybody, but most people I know are not surprised at all as to the way he moved. Not one bit. Matter of fact, shout out to Everything Boxing, who's here right now, who's been saying from day one, this man is not going to make any of these fights happen. What are you guys talking about? If I've ever spoken about Gervonta Tank Davis potentially making a fight with a Shakur Stevenson or a Keyshawn Davis or making a fight with a Devin Haney or Teofimo Lopez, it was 100% out of pure optimism, hope. It was never under the delusion that this man would not do what he just did. It was completely understood because, like you said, Shelton, he has spoken too many times and given us his state of mind for us to look past the reality of where his mindset was at. At best, you were hoping that he was trolling. At best. But at the end of the day, when he's confirmed it by moving the way he did, there's no argument as to how serious he's always been and how, and another thing, and I want to pass it off to the panel and definitely bring Keon into the conversation. Another thing is on how dismissive his fan base has been at the blatant speaking of Gervonta Tank Davis, how he's been so upfront about the way he feels, but there's been such an obvious dismissal of this man's voice that it almost, I was talking to my wife about this the other day, and I said, I'm believing in my heart that I am and people who think like me are the biggest Tank fans there is, because we actually listen to that man, take him seriously. When he talks, we listen and we hold him to what he says he's going to do. Even when he changes his mind. I think the Tank fan base that considers himself the fan base have been so disrespectful to that man's thoughts. That's why he doesn't even speak on the media to the space. I think he's literally been dealing with a fan base who have been completely disregarding where he stands in boxing. Shout out to Keon in the building. What's good, ETB?
What's good? What's good? Salute to the panel. Yeah,
What's up,
I mean, hey, this is what I've been telling people the whole time. Like, it's not a surprise. Like, the only thing that surprised me is they announced it yesterday. That's the only thing I was surprised about. I knew it was coming. I knew if somehow it couldn't be Jake Paul, I knew it was going to be Manny Pacquiao. I mean, this dude has showed y'all his whole career, his trajectory. He was never going to fight none of these guys. You know, it's just not in him. And the thing is, you know, somebody got a lot of noise in the background.
Yeah, I'm about
to
find him right now. Here he is, right here.
Yes.
This country.
Yeah. So, you know, and as far as these other content creators, you know, that we ain't gonna say no names. We know who we talking about. You can't jump the gun and give these dudes credit, because these same guys, I've heard them say things about, you know, Tank, like, oh man, you know, and then give them a couple days. They're going to backtrack all of that. Just give them a couple days, you know, give them a little bit of time. It's going to be, oh, well, you know, he sent Shakur a contract and Shakur wouldn't sign the contract, and Devin Haney was trying to be the A side and Devin Haney ducked him, and, you know, Gary Russell did. That's what you're going to hear. And it's going to come to, well, what do you expect? Tank didn't have nobody else to fight. Who you want? Trust me. Just wait and see. Just wait and see. They're going to make it about, oh, well, you know, Tank. They're gonna make it right. Trust me. Just wait and see. But the biggest thing to me is, you can like a fighter, right? But you don't have to tear down every other fighter that wants to fight this fighter because you like that fighter. Like, you built a platform. They built platforms on tearing down a bunch of other fighters. You know, you don't have to do that. You're just cool, like the fighter, and you don't have to lose your integrity and put out lies and false narratives every day for a man that you probably never gonna meet in your life. That's where the problem comes in.
Yeah, I watched that video yesterday.
I didn't watch it, but you know, I've heard people say.
I watched it, man, and I'm telling you, there was so much. It was a moving video for me. It was moving because I was like,
but I've seen it before. Because I've seen that individual do that before.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
I seen him talking to the camera like he was talking to Tank. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, I'm serious. Like, I seen this was a conversation between him and Tank, bro, more than anybody else. It wasn't about me. It wasn't about us. It wasn't about. It was a statement where I just looked at it and I said, "Damn, bro, Tank probably not even gonna watch this shit." That's what I was thinking to myself. I was watching
it. But I was like, it's like, man, but aren't we too grown for that? Like, we're all in our 40s and 30s, and you know what I'm saying? Like, aren't we too grown for that? Like, come on, man. These are you can't put a man on God level. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't. That's what that is to me. You're putting this man like above God. Like he's a God level. Like he's a human being. He's an individual.
And look what's happening right now, brother. In the comment, his name is TankFan86. I ain't sorry.
That's Bub. That's Bub. That's Bub.
He's saying AJ and Canelo about to fight Jake Paul. No outrage. What you got to understand, Bub, is that AJ and Canelo they did their work.
Yeah,
their work in boxing is done. Their work is complete.
This is the thing.
Has work to do. Tank has dudes. Nobody's calling AJ out. The only work that Canelo has left is Benavidez. And I mean,
that's what I was going to get to.
But Canelo,
and that's what I was going to. And that's exactly what I was getting to. Like, wouldn't nobody have a problem with what Tank is doing, like I don't have a problem with it. Honestly, I don't have a problem with it because I told people years ago this is the type of trajectory that he was going to take. This is what he was going to do, and I got called a hater and I got bashed for it, but I didn't care because I seen it in him. But the only reason that people are talking about it and have a problem with it, the people that do, is because he hasn't done anything to be put on the pedestal that he's on. He hasn't fought any of these guys. Let's just keep it a buck. I mean, this is how I look at it. He's ducked 2 different generation of fighters. Like for real. You didn't have guys that was on top and retired. Some of them guys is just, like so far out of their prime, they getting ready to retire, and he ain't fought none of them. Why is it always them all?
His fans
and they
have
always
made
blame
for
the
them.
fighter. Yeah, they always blaming.
Devin was never available. Shakur was never available. Tio was never available. You want to tell me 6 or 7 guys were never available?
It's never his fault. It's never on. It's never on him. And then when it comes to other fighters that want to fight him, these people just straight out, flat out dog them fighters because they want to fight Tank.
You know who's available right now? Shakur Stevenson. He's available right now.
I would say that he available, for like later part at the end of the year. But I mean, you can still make that fight.
I've been listening. Let me say something. Let me say something real quick.
Wait.
Yeah, let me say this right quick. They put this man. And a lot of these platforms, I'm not saying all of us, but most of these platforms say this man's the face of boxing, right? So if you're in the face of boxing, you should be able to make any fight you want to make in the division you are in. Now stop me when I'm speaking out of turn.
Hey, that's
right?
funny you said.
No, I mean we've been saying that from the beginning about even with that whole.
So that's what I'm saying. Don't tell me that this guy wasn't available, or this guy wasn't available, or this guy wasn't available, or this guy wasn't available. If you're the face of boxing and you're the highest payday that anybody's going to get fighting you, then you should be able to make any fight you want to make at any time. Because I remember a time when Sugar Ray Leonard could do that.
Yeah.
But see, you know what he was doing. See, people don't even realize. A lot of people don't realize what he was doing. He was picking guys that like the Pitbull Cruisers, right? Giving them like $700,000. The Rollies. He was picking guys that never had made any money, and they weren't paying them a lot of money. They were just paying them a lot more money than they ever had made. Like,
when you go from 100,000 to 700, yes, that's changing money.
That's life changing money, but it wasn't millions and millions of dollars. So that's why they were picking these certain fighters. And I was trying to tell people that a long time ago. But when Turkey came around, right? That changed the whole game. That's why people are mad, because Turkey changed the whole game. In these divisions, like with the Canelos and the Tanks and all, because now these other fighters, you don't have to sit around and wait for one fighter to be able to get a payday, right? And if Turkey had never came in the game, we still would have been seeing the same shit that we were seeing, especially in the division for like 135 with 10. You would have seen all them dudes just sitting around begging and waiting, and then, bam, once a year, maybe twice a year. And none of these guys would want to fight each other. But now Turkey changed the game because he's like, okay, you have to fight the best, and I'm going to pay you. And if you don't want to fight the best, okay, well, go do some business with some of these other entities that ain't putting on no fight cards. Because he pretty much got rid of all of that shit. Now, if you want to make money, you don't have a choice but to go through him, and you don't have no choice but to fight the best on most occasions, right? So, it's funny how when that started happening, Tank started saying, well, I want to retire. You see what I'm saying? Like, come on, that ain't no coincidence. He didn't want to fight them dudes because he's never wanted to be in tough 50-50 fights where, not saying he believed he was going to lose, where he knew it was a possibility. Well, you know, hey, if I lose, if I F around and lose, he can't take the backlash. He's not mentally built for what some of these other fighters have to go through when they lose and they have to get on social media the next day. He's not mentally built like that. That's what it is. And he's smart enough to know that he's not mentally built to be able to take that backlash. So what does he do? He skips around. He goes around that. He creates opportunities to where he don't have to face that, you know. And this Jake Paul shit is exactly what he said. He told people what he wanted to do. He said, I don't care about fighting none of these other fighters. All these fighters that y'all naming, that y'all say is this and that, I don't care about fighting them. I care about the money. When he said that, he told everybody that clear as day. You know, so I don't want to hear, oh, well, he was going to fight this and that. He was going to fight Shakur and he was going to fight. Nah, he wasn't going to fight none of them dudes.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like he was. And I think that what the elephant in the room is timing, when things are done and how things are done. We all understand. And I think people become very, it's very easy for people to see this in other fighters, but it's very hard for them to hold their own fighter to the same thing, right? Like in 2 seconds, they'll say, Shakur is fighting this guy. He shouldn't be fighting this guy. He should be fighting that guy. Devin is fighting this guy. He should be fighting that. Well, yeah, to be honest with you, I don't know if I've ever heard people talk like that about Devin because he generally just fights the next guy, the best guy.
No, they try to downplay what Devin does because they can't do anything. They try to minimize what he's
doing. And I got one question to ask you, Clay, after you finish. I'm going to let you finish. I got a question to ask you.
So, hey, real quick, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I got to jump off, fellas. You have a great morning. Thank you for having me on.
All right, no doubt, country.
Hold it down.
I think that they use the way we're talking right now, which is just holding Tank accountable, right? You see them holding Jaron Boots Ennis accountable right now, right? They don't like the Lima fight. It's not the fight he should be fighting. They made 2-3 weeks of content criticizing his choice, who he's deciding to fight right now. He should be fighting a champion. He should be fighting Virgil. He should be doing all these things. When it comes to this Tank Davis fight, when it comes to this Tank Davis fighting a Jake Paul situation, all of a sudden we're doing too much. This man can't just make this fight happen. He can't just do this. Y'all hating on him. No, it's not. It's boxing. Because when y'all are holding Jaron Boots Ennis accountable for the decisions he's made, I said, listen, man, this is just boxing, man. You know, we got to see what he's doing. I believe he's going to have a crazy 2026, man. I think it's going to be this, but I never disrespected anybody on having their opinion on it because at the end of the day, yeah, bro, Lima fight came out of nowhere for as I'm concerned. I don't know who Lima is. You know what I'm saying? I get what you're saying, but I also have faith in a process that I believe is being rolled out. And I believe at the end of the day, unlike some other fighters, I believe when the smoke is all cleared, he will have fought Virgil. He will have fought Bakram. He will have fought all these fights. I believe he's not running away from them. I believe he's being moved right now in a direction to build his brand up. But I could be wrong. We'll see. And you're entitled to your opinion on his decision. But right now, as we're talking about the Tank Davis situation and this fight that he made with Jake Paul with a fighter who's not in his division, I mean, we've been watching him. We pulled up Lamont from 130. We watch him go up and fight a Mario Barrios and put a rehydration clause on him. We watch him take Ryan Garcia, bring him down in the catch weight and put a rehydration clause on him. We watch him fight Leo Santa Cruz at the end of his career, and in a weight class that was heavy for him, being that he was down there like 117. You know what I'm saying? Fighting down there. We watched all these different moves he made, and then we had on it the cherry on top of the whole entire Sunday, which is the cherry on top. I just did put the cherry on top of the Sunday, which is he's talking about retiring, right? So now his career is coming full circle to a point to where it may be done to a degree, at a minimum, a chapter in his career. But in the worst case scenario, we might never see him in the ring again. So not only did he not fight the fights and have all these other fights with asterisks next to him, now he's going into fighting a Jake Paul at 175, 190 pound catch weight fight. But meanwhile, this guy couldn't fight Devin Haney at 140. He couldn't fight a Ryan Garcia at 140. He can't fight, outside of 135. He's a small guy. But now he's about to go fight this 6'1", 6'2" dude who just fought Mike Tyson at 230 pounds. and is going to have to cut weight again, right, to come down to fight him at 190. So at what point is it okay to call out the BS?
Clay.
Is it okay to speak frankly and honestly about what we're looking at and then not be hate? At what point? When is it okay to speak on it and it not be an issue? Being that Jaron Ennis just unified and became a lineal champion at 147, and as soon as he went up to 154 and he's fighting the Lima, he's a duck. And it's fair, but we can't talk about Jaron. We can't talk about Tank Davis going to fight Jake Paul.
Clay, man.
Clay, let me say this real quick. Let me say this real quick, Clay. I want to ask you a question. Right now, all right. Now we can fast forward. We see what he's doing. He's going up to fight Jake Paul. Let me ask you a question. Now, did he duck Conor Benn? Did he duck Devin Haney? Because remember, he said what he said about Conor Benn, and then they put that bread on the table and was like, oh, let's make it happen. Is that a duck? That absolutely is a duck. Is Devin Haney a duck when he wanted Devin Haney to come all the way back down to 130? Well, he didn't want that because he ain't never really said that, right? But his fan base was, oh man, Tank is this and Devin got to come back down to 135. Is that a duck? All them other guys, right? Tank is too small for 140. Tank, look how small Tank is. Why y'all want Tank? Y'all want Tank to do everything. It's all a duck because it wasn't. Because, well, why are you fighting Jake Paul, right? You're fighting Jake Paul. You're fighting Jake Paul because you don't see Jake Paul as competition, right? You didn't want to fight them other guys because they were what? They were dangerous fights for you in your eyes, competition. That's all it was. So he's not a so this comes down to is that he doesn't have that competitive nature that most great athletes have. That if you think you better than me and y'all think this guy's better, well, I want to fight him. He don't have that in him. That's what he's missing. It doesn't mean that he don't have that he's not talented, that he don't have great skills and everything else. He don't have that competitive nature that a Michael Jordan, a Kobe Bryant, a Terrence Bud Crawford, a Shakur Stevenson, a Andre Ward, a Roy Jones, and we could Floyd Mayweather, and we can go on and on. Because a lot of people, oh well, man, Floyd didn't know. Floyd didn't do it. Go back and look at Floyd's resume. Look at Floyd, what he did. Look at the guys that Floyd was calling out. So a lot of people try to make that comparison. Don't try to make that comparison if you don't know the history. So yeah, he don't have that competitive nature. That is missing. And the problem is a lot of these guys, these young fighters, they came up behind Tank, watching Tank. And we see how they start moving, right? We see how they start moving. They didn't have the competitive nature. They just want to go straight to a bag. But Turkey came in and he stopped that shit. That's why people are like, oh man, y'all Turkey this and Taker. No, I just like that he brought the competitive nature of boxing back, and it was going away. We was missing that.
Yo,
only a handful of fighters really had it.
Can I
go ahead?
Wait, hold on, Coach. Let's go frequent flyer, and then we're gonna go to Coach Eddie. And I feel like Ant McQueen was gonna build, and then of course I gotta salute to Ray Davis in the building. But go ahead, frequent.
Yeah, my thing is the fans. All the delusion and denial. They get caught up in trying to defend them for all the mistakes and all the undesirable moves that he make. That they find themselves in weird positions. Shout out to Big Dog Willie. I saw him on another panel, and he brought up the fact that Gervonta Tank Davis is the B-side to Jake Paul. And man, you should have saw all of the delusion. They trying to defend it, talking about, oh no, it's two A sides. They both A sides and all this ridiculous stuff he was bringing up, talking about they're splitting it 50-50. And we're like, come on, man. Jake Paul got the network. He's the one who's setting everything up. He's getting paid the most, and they don't even want to face that fact, the fact that he's going to be the B side. Because they already expecting us to be saying, oh, how's the face of boxing the B side to somebody, And I think I heard somebody say that the face of boxing don't do things like this. Well, I will say that usually people wait to the end of their careers. You know, they usually retire and then they come back and do exhibitions and stuff like that. You know, they don't do it in the middle of their career. And somebody was bringing up, I was on a panel and somebody was bringing up all these other guys that was about to fight Jake Paul before Tank just announced this, before they announced this one right here with Tank. And I was telling them the difference is those guys are up there. They're heavyweights and bigger guys. Tank is coming all the way from 135, you know, and on top of that, he's an active fighter with a belt down there, you know. So and he got all these big names down there that he can fight, you know, around in and around his weight class. That can be a big fight where he can make some good money as well. And I'm pretty sure if he fought Shakur Stevenson over on Riyadh season, he probably end up getting a bigger bag than he's getting with Netflix and Jake Paul. So the excuse is crazy, the delusion. A lot of people throwing out the fact that it's an exhibition, but we don't even know if it's going to end up an exhibition, because remember the Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul was supposed to be an exhibition, and then later on they, you know, it turned into an actual bout, you know, that gives them a loss on their record or whatnot, you know, before the fight happened. So we could very well see that happen, because it definitely was rumors that they was trying to get Jake Paul to come down to 175 so it can be a sanctioned bout, because the sanctioning bodies weren't willing to sanction the bout because it was too big of a difference in weight between the two. So they was trying to get them to meet somewhere near the middle or whatever, or get Jake Paul to at least come down to 175. And so if he decides that he's going to come down to 175 before the fight, it could actually turn out being a sanctioned bout. So, you know, they might not be able to use that excuse for so long. But that's the thing. They just keep defending the things that they see him do. And after a while, you just get put in a crazy position. You end up in a crazy position, you know, trying to defend something that you can't really defend, and you look like a fool doing it.
Yeah. Coach Eddie, what's up?
Hey, what's good, brother? Salute to everybody on the panel, man. I want to speak to this new era in boxing. I remember boxing used to be a really hyper masculine sport, and it's not that anymore. I want to address that first. I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but it used to be somebody you could look up to, somebody you aspired to be like, somebody that gave you inspiration, somebody to make you want to do things. The masculinity, to somewhat degree, has dwindled down. It's not as hyper masculine that it used to be. Second of all, Jake Paul is a fraud. Jake Paul had no intentions on fighting Anthony Joshua. It was a clout chase, in my opinion, because as soon as when he was getting ready to fight Hakeem Rockman, he found a way to get out of that fight just as fast as he could, because he looked at Hakeem Rockman, and Rockman was going to come to do him dirty, and he knew it. He said, I got to get out of this fight. And he hurried up and got out of that fight. Anthony Joshua fight literally will land Jake Paul into the hospital with brain damage. He will never be the same from that fight. He would probably be in a vegetative state if he fought AJ. He detonates on him. That is a fight that he literally could lose his life in that fight. That fight was never happening. Tank Davis, Jake Paul fight, it has no chance of being sanctioned. You can't sanction a light heavyweight versus a welterweight. You can't do it. Even if Tank came up to middleweight, still can't do it. It's two different weight classes. In an exhibition, though, by the way, you can't get knocked out in the exhibition. Exhibition doesn't mean that you're playing. That doesn't mean it's not on your record. So Jake Paul literally can go in there and he can smoke Tank Davis and knock him out. You know, it won't count on the record, but everybody will see Tank Davis getting knocked out or getting dropped. And that very well could happen. We've seen Floyd Mayweather go in there and stop people in the exhibitions. We've seen Manny Pacquiao stop people in the exhibitions. So that's not off the table right there. And that, to be honest, that probably may be the best thing to happen. You know, people might say, oh, you hate if Jake Paul goes in there and smoke Tank Davis. I mean, it is what it is at that particular time. You roll the dice, you gamble with a bigger guy, you got caught, you got put to sleep. You know, and I don't see why he's doing this. You know, it doesn't really bring any value to it. It's disrespectful to the sport. So many guys, he's waiting on this guy. I don't know. It's just a diva mentality, man. It's just like this dude is just acting like, oh, the world owes him everything. He moves at his own pace, and like I say, his fan base, they're just so delusional. They just want to just protect everything that he does, and it's really the awkward place, man. But I'm not. That's why I watch old boxing, man. I'm not really used to this new direction that boxing's moving in. We do have some throwback fighters, and it's refreshing. I think that's why the fights over there in England and in the UK, they're good fights because you really see guys that really, really trying to get it, really, really trying to put on, really, really showing up to fight and not lay down. And that's a good thing. And that's what Turkey did. He came in, he put on good fight. Guys really, really coming to get it, really, really to come in to do their best and really, really trying to win. And you don't know the outcome a lot of times. You know, you can see a path to victory for most of the fights. But that's where I'm at with it.
No doubt, no doubt. And did you want to tap in with something? I know it's been a while. If it left your mind, let me know. But I don't know.
No,
What's going on, fellas?
Well, what's good, Rich? Hold on one second,
Good
Rich.
morning, good sir. No, he just came in. Let him do
All
his thing.
All right, Rich, go ahead. What's up, bro?
Man, this the thing about these guys, right? Like, people don't understand what Tank doing. Tank already blew the chance. He didn't even blow the chance because Turkey still got his hands out. Could y'all hear me?
Mm-hmm.
So this is what he did, right? He did. If you've been locked up or something, you know what he did. He pulled a check-in move with Turkey and shit like that. He already beefed with Turkey and all that stuff when Turkey tried to extend his hand to him. All I ever been seeing was Jake Paul disrespect Tank, calling him short, all types of stuff for years. But he sat back and doing business with him. All I seen Turkey ever do was try to be cool with him. But the psychological that Tank played, the games that he played, he said, nah, I'm already gonna beef with him because I know he's gonna give me some money and make me fight the best fighters. You get what I'm saying? So he did some bitch ass shit and basically started beefing with Turkey or whatever and act like that he still can't get no fights with Devin Haney, act like he loyal to Al Heyman and all them and all this stuff. He did all that shit on purpose. He had no type of desire to fight Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson, or anybody that's good. That's why he won't sign off to Turkey. You know what I'm saying? That's the real reason why. And I'm still confused because people keep saying this one fight deal shit, and they got to go over to PBC. Well, this nigga over here fucking with Netflix right now, and ain't Amazon beefing with Netflix?
I mean, they're competitors to say the least. I don't know if they're beefing, but they're definitely
So whatever happened to that 5 or 6 fight deal that this nigga got? Whatever happened to all that shit? This nigga like I respect
Rick, you didn't believe that shit from the gate. Why you bring that up? You didn't believe that bullshit when it came out.
I did it. But these clown ass niggas on these panels that I be arguing with, when I say stuff, they made it seem like that I was the most dumbest nigga in the world with what I was saying. You know what I'm saying?
You dealing with professional arguers, bro. They're professional arguers.
And then these niggas don't even care about them being wrong. All they care about is trying to be right in a fucking argument. That's all they care about. They like prosecutors, like they know a nigga innocent, but they still gonna move forward with the case and try to make you out to be guilty. That's how these niggas act, man, and it's a shame. And then I heard these niggas always talk about Boxing Hacker, a nigga, a guy that be on all these other panels. They always talk about him and say, "Oh, a girl will run game all over you and all this extra ass shit because you believe anything." No, you bitch niggas believe anything. Y'all believe stuff that the nigga don't even tell y'all. Y'all niggas is clowns. Like that shit is crazy. The nigga don't even tell y'all this stuff. The nigga tell y'all, man, I'm about to retire. Boxing ain't in this. Fight Shakur for what? What the fuck he do? And all you hear these niggas say, oh, is Shakur gonna really go over there and sign a one fight deal? Is he really gonna try to make that fight happen? Man, this bitch ass nigga gotta want to fight him. Like, I'm getting tired of that shit, man. And niggas, and I'm not mad at Tank. I'm not mad at Tank. I'm just mad at the clowns that be on these panels that be defending this nigga. That's all I'm mad at. Like, I'm like, damn, like y'all niggas really, and then they gonna try to flip this around. I bet you they gonna say this. Yeah, Shakur said he would take this fight. Man, but guess what Shakur do? Shakur always telling us what he gonna do. He always keep it in boxing. He don't be quiet and he don't downplay another nigga. I'd rather have a fighter that I defend, you know what I'm saying, tell me what the fuck he gonna do.
Right.
Instead of have a fighter that y'all defend that's telling y'all the opposite of what y'all trying to defend. Yeah, these guys is different, man.
Rich, I appreciate the perspective. I agree with you, and I think even though you took it back to the streets a little bit, but it was clear, and I heard you clear. You know what I mean? You articulated yourself well enough. I heard everything you were saying, and I think that's what the thing is about, right? And I think people don't understand that. One of the things that you said that mainly resonated with me was it's not about Tank. Tank can do what he wants to do. He's communicated to us at least what he always wanted to do, and he's doing what he said he wanted to do. Right. The fans have almost been indoctrinated into a place to where, and my whole thing is, how has this benefited boxing on the broad landscape of boxing and where we are right now? And guys, I keep highlighting it because it's the truth. ESPN's walked away from boxing. Right. Showtime has walked away from boxing. How much of a part did this mentality that we have as a community of supposed boxing fans affect those decisions? I'm gonna go ahead and send it off to Ray Davis though, because I know he wants to cook, and I think
yeah, man, I can't follow up Rich on that, man. I be watching Rich on these channels out here trying to make his points, and they be, you know, and he's like the only dude that do stick up for frequent flyer and
hold it down for me, Ray.
Yeah, absolutely, I got you. You know what I mean? But yeah, no, I hear it, Rich, and I even hear you try to concede a little bit, like you try to give them a little bit just to get your understanding, and they still don't do that, right? But let's look at the bigger picture here. We're going to be walking into excuse world, right? It's going to be every excuse in the world and every reason why it's okay. Mainly, it's going to be because it's the money is right or it's the bag. I heard Clay mention the Boots Ennis situation. That was brilliant. You know what I mean? That's a great comparison. But what I want to understand is, why is it that Gervonta, or, you know what I mean? Like, what is, you know, the question that he always asks to every other person when they interview him, what did Shakur do? What did Devin do? What did this dude do? What the hell did Jake Paul do to earn this fight? Right? Let's ask the fan base that. Not so much Gervonta. I'm just saying, let's ask his fans that. What did Jake Paul do? Because right now, a lot of them are sour, but a lot of them at the same time will find an angle to defend it, which would be the bag. But Tank said, and I'm pretty sure Here for Boxing said this, or ETB, because I know y'all be listening deep, pause. But I'm pretty sure y'all said, well, didn't Tank say when Bud went after the bag with Canelo that he only did it for the bag? You know what I mean? Like he's only money, basically chasing the money. So what are we doing here? Is Tank chasing the money, or is he chasing something else? You know what I mean? Is he trying to get out the sport? Now, I do want to touch in on the history of, and this is no disrespect, I don't want to go long, but the history of Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis. They both were under the Floyd Mayweather banner at the same time. So they actually have a liking of each other. This is probably some shit that we have to understand, that Tank is done with boxing, like clearly done. He said he was done. And because of that, he reached out to a brother. That brother was willing to facilitate it and help him out. Listen, man, we're going to help each other out. We're going to make this bag. We're going to do this. Whatever. I'm all for it. Okay, I'm not mad at it. I think it's crazy. It's a shocker. But I'm not mad at it. But the funniest shit is, how do we deal with the rhetoric? Because you know it's coming. And I mean, we don't have to deal with it. We can just ignore the shit out of it. And
that's the solution. I'm about to say, we're going to ignore it. We're going to
ignore it. But here's the perfect example: is my brother Rick Timms, big Tank fan, who put his head up here, shook it yesterday, and he said shaking his head. Because he knows he's been up here listening to these people. Because I see Rick Timms everywhere. If Rick Timms ain't the president of YouTube, he's damn sure the mayor. I promise you. I mean, I think he took that spot over from Tommy Hitman Hill. Because Rick Timms is everywhere, and he always gets welcomed with open arms. And Rick is dumbfounded. Like, you can see it in his face yesterday. But
well, I mean, Go ahead. I was
Yeah,
going
yeah, no,
to
it's
add to
cool.
it just to
But
say
you know what I
that.
mean? But I mean, he's not the only one, but him as a true fan, like he's a real
Yeah,
fan.
and I was gonna say even KO. You know what I'm saying? I hope he doesn't take offense to me like saying his name or nothing like that. Because one thing about it is I really can't imagine myself having smoke with any content creator. I think there's one content creator who I just hold on the outside because I know what he struggles with.
Yeah.
But me having issues, I can't, right? But I'll say that he also kept it 100 yesterday on I don't know what will change later, you know what I'm saying? But
Well,
you know, just another person who was dumbfounded by Tank's decision, who's legitimately like, this is wild, bro. You got us looking crazy out here, bro. What are you doing?
Well,
Can I say something to something that's going on?
Wait. I don't want to. I want to let Ray go, and I want to let
I'm about to land the plane anyway.
Yeah.
I'm glad he did mention KO. Because I watched the show. I don't know if he released another video after he found out it was true.
Yeah, he
I
did.
know when it came to the skepticism of it, he was still saying that, you know what I mean, this is a joke.
Nah, he dropped another video.
But I'm glad he did, because I don't
well, at that time, just to be fair, he was waiting on the post from Tank. He was waiting on the post from Netflix. Yeah,
right.
he didn't want to just go off of the Ring Magazine.
Yeah, like I said, you know, but him just saying that, it just shows you, and this is no slight to him, but he said if it's true, I'm done with you. So I was going to speak to that. So you know what I mean, I hope most fans are like that. I hope they keep it 100%. So let's I'm gonna land the plane real quick because I know other people want to go, and I just wanted to come up here and say, man, this is just it's like a bad movie, man. It just went bad.
I mean, I think it's a good movie, and I want to speak on that too. But I want to let Ant build. I think it's a great movie because I think there's a lot being exposed that needs to be exposed.
You know,
and once Ant speaks what he wants to speak, I want to change the topic a little bit, and I want to speak on the magnitude of this event popping up on September 13th. This event may have a lot more riding on it as far as American boxing is concerned, as far as the opportunities for American boxers are concerned, than we might have thought, because I'm sure there was a lot of hope behind, you know, what moves Gervonta was going to make, because he represents some of the biggest fights that can be made in America, and he represents some of the biggest viewerships and shows that can be made in America. Clearly, this match has derailed a lot of people's idea about the future of American boxing. Well, how much more weight and how much more focus do we need to put, and should we put, as boxing fans, behind this September 13th event popping off with Terrence and Canelo? But Ant, please, I want you to tap in. I always appreciate your contribution, man. So I hope we didn't lose.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I'll just say, as fans in this space, a lot of us, we operate as sophists. Like, we don't look at things at both sides. And me, I generally try to look at both sides of the argument between Tank fans and the people who criticize his moves and the people who are unwilling to criticize his moves. And I'll say this. I don't think his complete career has been a farce. He's fought some good fighters. You mentioned that there was some asterisks, but that's the thing. You can do that with anybody's career when you want to go through it with a fine-tooth comb. Like somebody had mentioned Floyd Mayweather. And when they mentioned that clip came to mind where they were on the jet and he was talking to Tank, and he was saying, whether people say good things about you or bad things about you, the main thing is doing whatever the hell you want to do. We on this jet right now. I got $1 billion because I did what I wanted to do. And boxing is one of those spaces where it really is up to the person's own ambition. So oftentimes we apply what our scruples or moral compass or whatever the hell you want to call it, we want to apply that to these fighters. Well, I would move like this, or I would have integrity, and I would this, that, and the third. But integrity to me isn't this very strict code that's universal. It's whatever the hell it is that you think in your heart or in your mind is the best course of action for you. If you stay true to that, then that's on you. As far as the Canelo Bud comparison, I think that was spot on. But also look at Bud Crawford, right? Bud Crawford is 2-time undisputed, multi-division champion, and people will still tell you he ain't fighting nobody. Like Ricky Burns was an absolute bum. Jerry John was an absolute bum. Felix Diaz was a damn Olympic gold medalist. People will tell you he was a bum. Kavalauskas was an Olympian. People will tell you, oh, green beans, he's a bum. So my thing is, regardless of what it is that you do, people are going to have something to say anyway. So you might as well do whatever the hell it is that you want to do in boxing, because boxing has pretty much always been that. You know, going back to the 70s, going back all the way to the 20s. It's always been about the bag since 1921. That was the first $1 million gate in the history of boxing. Jack Dempsey versus George Carpentier. They raised $1 million. Tex Ricard was the one who promoted it, and it's been about the bag since. Jack Dempsey got a whole chapter about this shit in his book Championship Fighting that he released in the 50s, and he talked about this. Promoters trying to replicate that same success that Tex did. We're the only ones who are still believing that it's all about the guts and the glory and all this other shit. Larry Holmes, I can't remember who it was. I think my coach Eddie had mentioned him. Larry Holmes is famous for saying, "We're all fighting for the money. I'm the only one who will admit it." That's a quote from Larry Holmes. You got interviews with Sugar Ray Robinson talk about he ain't even really like boxing for real. He just did it to get paid. You had Joe Frazier releasing fucking albums on Motown, touring with the Knockouts, fighting Joe Bugner in 1973 and being very frank. Yeah, I like money and I like this, that, and the third. But Colorado Spot, the reason why Larry had to fight those people is because that was his path to the bag. It wasn't like, oh, I want to fight this guy for the guts and glory to please the fans. It's like, no, this was the path to the bag. Some people's path may be a little bit easier. Some may be a little bit more difficult. Some people might be like Julio Cesar Chavez, who didn't get a big notable fight until his 41st fight.
Church.
That man was 40-0 before he got a title shot. Marvin Hagler had to fight 50 times before he got a title shot. Your man Jake LaMotta had to make a deal with the mob to where he would take a dive versus another one of their fighters in promise of a title shot down the line. So this is a nasty ass, greasy ass, slimy ass game. And I keep saying, bro, like, boxing is a whore that we want to reform, but this shit is irredeemable. It is not the housewife that we want it to be. And we keep looking at it through this idealistic lens. So long as we enjoy the fights that we see, so be it. I mean, these things are going to happen. We could be up here talking for 2 hours till we blue in the face about Tank fighting Jake Paul, but we won't spend 5 minutes talking about Arthur B. Arslanov and how he could potentially be the dark horse of the 140-pound division, or talking about why the hell isn't and I love me some David Benavidez, but why the hell he ain't fighting Albert Ramirez? Albert Ramirez is top 5 in all 4 of the sanctioning bodies, and this dude been cooking over there in the IBA. He been fighting up there in Canada in the what do you call that shit? The Eye of the Tiger. But we don't want to look at this thing from all sides of it. We got our minds made up about certain people, and I do it too. But we got our minds made up about certain people, and we got our stances, and then we just regurgitate these things to ourselves and to one another. But the reality of it is right or wrong is a matter of the lens in which the person is viewing it through. So if this person is about the bag or whatever the hell they're about, hey, he's right in his eyes. And if this man is about fighting this guy and that guy and so on and so forth, then he's right in his eyes. And I just respect all of these guys for taking their respective paths, because ultimately, regardless of what path they choose, this shit is difficult. You know what I'm saying? Getting punched in your face for 8 weeks at a time, not being able to eat. You hear the stories about guys sucking on ice cubes because they can't eat nothing, can't drink nothing. Muhammad Ali in 1980, when he fought Larry Holmes, was dehydrated, damn near died, and had to take pills because he had a damn thyroid problem. And people, and they still threw him out in the ring. Why? Because it's Muhammad Ali. This is what we talking about here. Like, what integrity? You know what I'm saying? So that's why me as a fan, I just enjoy it for what it is, because I look at it like this, bro. If you got a banana and it got that little brown spot on it, do you throw the whole fucking banana out, or you just enjoy the parts that you do like, and then you kind of disregard the parts that you don't like? And that's how I view boxing.
I ain't gonna lie, you depends on how many bananas I got. But look, right?
True indeed. Right. True indeed.
It's the option. Sometimes I just, I don't want that banana.
Sometimes you got options, bro. Sometimes you got options.
Yeah.
But some people like the brown spot on the banana.
Yeah, some people like the brown spot because
some people love the brown spot. That's supposed to be when it's right.
we getting deep on the banana right now, so pause.
Yeah.
Right, real quick.
Hey,
But
yo.
hey, yo. But look, but first of all, Ant, that's why I like when you speak, bro, and I never miss an opportunity. I always make sure you get that opportunity to speak because you articulate and give so much context and perspective on whatever the topic is, right? And that's why everything that you just said, and once again, educating me on a whole lot of history, I will say at least half of the shit you said I wasn't aware of, right? So that's how important it is to let people like Ant McQueen and speak on conversations like this. But once again, just to kind of highlight and say that's why I don't put the pressure on Tank, right? What I'm here for and what this platform is here for and what I believe most content creation spaces should be here for, and at least it'd be nice if they were here for it, is hopefully to see the sport move and flourish into whatever it could be. We want this sport to be as big as it can be. And my whole thing is a fighter like Tank Davis can be celebrated for what a fighter like Tank Davis wants to do. I quote what Floyd Mayweather said on that airplane. I think that was a very profound moment in time caught on camera that Floyd Mayweather communicated to Tank. F what everybody else is talking about. Make sure you do what you want to do. Make sure you get it done your way, because when it's all said and done, it's all about you.
It's all about you.
Tank Davis communicated what he wanted a long time ago. He said, I don't care about this. I care about this. I'm about this. I don't care about that. And I say, that's what's up. I really, truly appreciated Tank communicating to the space where he stood on boxing, because as a fan, it gave me the information I needed to know, to understand how to move with Tank.
Right.
The rest of boxing, for boxing fans who cared about boxing, about the legacy of boxing, who cared about the blood, the glory, all that stuff, had the information they needed from Tank Davis to move forward and understand how to deal with him and to look elsewhere and look outside of Tank to go ahead and check those boxes. The thing that's diabolical about this whole situation is that the boxing fan in this space really focused on that man to a degree to where they took issue with other fighters that were trying to move in the real direction of what they valued in boxing. If you value Tank Davis's money, if you value his health and his well-being and whatever benefits him, God bless you. But if you value the fight in the ring, if you value boxing in general, in the broad landscape of boxing, well, the American fan needs to understand that right now, boxing needs you. Boxing needs you to celebrate it, to celebrate the fighters. Abdullah Mason needs you. David Benavidez needs you. Brian Norman needs you. Devin Haney needs you. Shakur Stevenson needs you. Right? You're in Europe. I'm trying. I said American fighters because I know some people I don't care about what's going over there, so I don't even want it to be distracted, right? But these fighters that are up and coming, and Shakur Stevenson and Zaquan Moses and all these other fighters, the Carmel Motons, they need the boxing fan to support them in a way that I don't believe they're being supported, because we're completely hyper focusing on one fighter, one way or the other. We're focusing on him, and we're tearing down any fighter who's in the same conversation as him, and it's becoming toxic and segueing into this September 13th event. Segueing into Terrence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez, the magnitude of this fight, Allegiant Stadium, expected attendance 60,000+ people in the building, free on Netflix, ushering in boxing on Netflix at a high level, not gimmick boxing, not Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul, and unfortunately, not to make anybody feel any kind of way, not Jake Paul versus Gervonta Tank Davis, but significant boxing, needle-moving boxing. Now with this information out there and knowing that Tank Davis is not interested, like we always knew, most of us did, but for the ones of us who didn't understand, now seeing the way he's deciding to move, where are we with this event? Does this event hold the weight, even more weight now, to get the support of the American boxing fan? How do you guys stand on that?
Well, I understand. I'll put out understand. I understand everything even in between Queen said, and I believe that's so much of a truth. The only thing I would say, and this is not really against him, is that we're just, us in boxing right now, current space, it's big news. It's something. It sucks that we got to keep talking about, and all these things came up, but it's the news. It's current, right? It's current event, and not to mention, if I'm pretty sure it was the bag. I think every single person that gets in that gym and they start working towards something is to make a better life for themselves, because they see the people at the top. It doesn't matter how we look at who's at the top. They see the people at the top when they start, and they start on that journey and get there. Eventually, they see the championship. They see those belts, and those belts do mean something to some of these people. Not everybody. You know what I mean? They kind of took that, the belts don't matter thing away. But the guy who started that, and the guy that even mentioned it first, in my opinion, is the same guy that has all the WBC belts, all the WBA belts, all the WBO belts, and a couple of IBFs laying on that table in front of him. About 40 belts right in front of him, showing the world how great of a champion he was. But he didn't care about belts. Not to mention, you have Tank Davis, and I don't want to shit on him, said he don't love the belts. He don't like the belts. And what's the first thing he does? Hold on to all the belts. The guy's been the WBA champion for 5-6 years now. He's been the IBF champion until he lost it on the scales. He was a WBC champion until he lost it on the scales. So he obviously, and he never relinquished the belts because he wanted to give them up. He held on to them because it was a status to him. It made him feel a certain way, empowered. And I'm pretty certain I'm right. When he goes to the gyms in Baltimore or to the other cities and in the local gyms that are not downtown in the fancier areas, but in the hometown areas like Houston and the barrios and things like that. And he goes out there in those cities and he reaches out to those kids and he has that championship, because to them, those kids don't see money. They see a champion. So it has a double, it's like a what do you call it? Like a double standard. You know what I mean? Like he has to have the belt because it shows something. It gives something back to the people. But at the same time, he's there for the bag, and the bag comes with it.
That's a great point, Ray. May I just say this before I lose the thought, because I just wanted to tack on to something you were just saying. And I think everything you just said is extremely fair, because it is, to some degree, it's a proof of concept. You know what I mean? Like, it's evidence of being a champion. But I'll also say this, and this is the nasty side of it, is that the sanctioning bodies, they want certain people to be champions, because 3% of their purse,
right,
is far greater than 3% of this other guy who is obscure, but he's ultra talented.
Right. I mean,
I read an article about Anthony Joshua paying over 1.5 million pounds just in sanctioning fees to defend his belt versus defend his 3 titles versus Joseph Parker, and that was like over 2 million US. Is like, where the hell is that money going?
Exactly.
And then the other side of it too is this: when the sanctioning bodies can pick and choose who they want to be a champion, or who can move around through the rankings, or you could just move a guy into contention despite never competing at that division. Rolly and Ryan Garcia.
Well, I totally agree with that. And my whole thing was, I was about
it's
to
like, what is the belt worth at that point?
I didn't know you were still talking, my bad.
No, I was just asking, what is the belt worth at that point? It's like, if you didn't have to beat a champion to get it, or if anybody who just has
the value,
a remotely substantial amount of clout or notoriety, whatever the hell you want to call it, can just be awarded this belt, then it's like, what is the belt really, really worth?
I get that.
Yeah, I think, and I see some people in the chat. And look, I get it, right? But I'm trying to my best, right? Like, this is not about Tank.
No,
this is about boxing. Tank is, for me, Tank is simply a side effect. Tank versus Jake Paul, that fight is simply the side effect of a neglect from the fan base to boxing on a broad landscape of things, on the broad spectrum. That's what I'm trying to highlight, right? I'm saying that fight between Tank and Jake shouldn't even matter as much as it really does. Why does it matter? It matters because the sport needs for Tank Davis to fight the fights that we need him to fight because we want the sport to benefit in a certain way. It wouldn't have to be that way if we understood and we celebrated a card like September 13th. If we said, okay, I don't know none of these fighters. Well, some of these fighters I don't know. A large portion of these fighters on the undercard I don't know, but let me get to know who they are. We watch. Let me see. This guy's undefeated in 6'9". Oh, damn. Christian and Billy undefeated. Lester Martinez. I never really even watched Lester Martinez fight that much. Let me watch him. I've watched Lester Martinez fight, by the way. But I'm just saying, like, if you don't know that you get an opportunity to and understand to take an opportunity to find interest in the sport, because the sport should always be bigger than one fighter. It should always be way bigger than one fighter. So all you guys in the comments who want me to turn this into a celebrate Tank Davis and justify what he's doing, or why am I not talking about Benny Bron can say, why you ain't talking about the good things, saying that? Because it's not about celebrating or crucifying Tank. It's about you, the fan. It's not about Tank. Tank is doing what Tank has been afforded the opportunity to do because he's built his status enough to where he's a draw, to where he can move the way he's moving right now. Do I want Tank to move in another direction and fight Shakur or fight Tio or fight? Yes, but he's not going to do that. Nobody over here is crying that he's not doing it. I'm not crying that he's not doing that. All right. Clearly, I have my own personal opinion. And I would like to believe most of you guys in the comment section speaking the way you're speaking would rather see him fight Shakur as well, just as much as I do. Right. So that's not what this conversation is about. The conversation is very simple. Boxing is bigger than Tank. Boxing is always busy. It's always going on. This weekend, there's a great fight happening between, in my opinion, Jack Rafferty and Mark Chamberlain. I think that fight's going to be a great fight. I mean, quality fight. I'm talking about two good competitors going to get in the ring, who's going in there to give you a show, who believe in legacy, who believe in entertaining you. And they're going to go up. And I'm telling you, if you watch this fight, there's a good chance you're going to be like, damn, that was a great fight. There's a good chance that Tuesday, when I come back up on the live, that you guys are going to be like, yo, I ain't going to lie. That Jack Rafferty, Mark Chamberlain fight that fight was kind of lit. We watched Shitsumi put on a great performance. People were talking about, damn, that little Japanese dude is throwing them things. Yeah. You don't know about these fights if you don't watch boxing on a broad spectrum to see how entertaining it is, and also to build up a demand for it here in America. Because right now, I just watched Fight Disciples podcast. Are you guys familiar with Fight Disciples podcast? Anybody? No. Probably not. It's a UK-based podcast, right? I watched it because they get me up to speed what's going on in the UK. And they talk MMA, talk too sometimes, and I'm into MMA. I don't bring it up here because I know you guys don't give a damn. But that being said, right? The UK and the world is looking at the American fan base. They're not looking at Gervonta Tank Davis and Jake Paul. They're looking at American boxing as a culture. They're like, these dudes don't care. They're not going to. The fans over here are who's underneath the magnifying glass of the world, not Tank Davis. Turkey's not looking at Tank Davis and Jake Paul fighting each other. He's looking at the fans. And he's looking at this event on September 13th. And the people who have invested energy into boxing, the Dana Whites, the Nick Khans, the actual people who are part of the movement of new blood coming into the game that want to invest the money in the sport and give you, the fan, a way to see the fights you want to see, who's fighting to take away pay-per-view, who's making it easier for you to watch boxing, is saying to themselves, I wonder if they're going to tap in. Now that we're giving it to them for free on an account, on a streaming account they already own on Netflix. Now that we've taken away the pay-per-view from the zone, I wonder if that blockage that we move out the way, let's see how interested and how much into boxing that space is into. We have an opportunity to show and prove, to support boxing. We have an opportunity to show that it's not just about Tank Davis, that boxing is actually loved in this country, that there's champions over here for a reason. If you guys want to tap into it and turn it into something else, clearly that's your own free will that you can wield however you see. But I do want to highlight and take a moment to shed the light on the fact that September 13th, one of the biggest events is being put together. Right. 3 days, by the way, add into the production. All of these different things, all these new wave, new energy that's being pumped into the sport is going to be right here in Vegas at Allegiant Stadium. Are we going to tap into that? And is the American boxing space going to dial into that and support that to show the world and show any investor, not just Turkey? Trust me, you got a Russian out there who's got a bunch of money right now who's going to invest in the Dmitry Bivol Artur Beterbiev, but he's a billionaire, bro. He was going to get into it. He fell back a little bit. We don't see Dmitry Bivol and Artur Beterbiev getting the fight because he had to think about it. Nobody cares about the fight, right? So a lot of eyes are on this, and I think an American boxing fan is really on the stage. It's not about Tank and Jake. Tank and Jake are just the side effect of something way bigger, way more diabolical than a fight between Tank Davis, who's already expressed that he's ready to leave the sport, and Jake Paul, a YouTuber. Who cares?
Yep. And just to finish up what I was saying before I forget, and that was great tribute to boxing, Clay, for real. And McQueen, I appreciate what you said because I'm definitely was going to tap into that. But what I was really getting at is the substance of a superstar in boxing, right? If they're not the champion, they can't relate to the kids. They can't give back to the kids because the kids don't know better. That's what it really comes down to on the outside source of them being champions. And when it comes to that sanctioning body that you were mentioning, yes, that 3% really hurts. And they do select certain people. I was going to mention George Kambosos. I'm like, look how many opportunities he had back to back because he brings more to the sanctioning bodies than most people do because he's the great white hype or whatever the case may be. I don't know. But he is something that they believe that they can market. And boxing markets him, or the sanctioning bodies market him. The guy got 5 opportunities back to back. Then you also have all these opportunities for these fighters, which I think what TKO is going to do is probably going to be something really good. I think that's going to be really good for the sport, and we're going to see a change. And the sanctioning body is going to have to get on board. They're going to. The reason why they're going to get on board because all these people are going to start understanding that one belt matters more than the other. And it's going to be a belt that they can fight to be a true champion, not a champion in the division. I wouldn't be surprised if, like the World Cup of Boxing, which a lot of people didn't watch. I know I watched it since Clay was talking about all these events and upcoming boxing boxers. And, you're watching all these young guys get in the ring and fight for this championship. They got one more session to go. I think the championship round is coming up in December, if I'm not mistaken. But do we even watch those things, the World Cup? You know what I mean? Are we even watching that from the WC? Because I think we're going to start seeing tournaments throughout these sanctioning bodies. We're going to start seeing things that's going to help promote boxing. And those things, and it's crazy. How many Americans did you see in that World Cup of Boxing? A handful.
It was a handful, yeah.
You know what I mean? Everybody
the ones that were in there were quality, though. There's just
right.
Yeah, there was some quality ones, though.
But how many of those quality fighters have you seen on the bigger market circuits? None.
Oh, yeah, none.
Right? But they were good. And they're fighting world wide competition.
World level talent, yeah.
They're not fighting, you know what I mean? So it's good to understand that boxing is bigger than home, but we want our home to go out there and win. It's nothing wrong rooting for the home team, y'all. It isn't.
Yeah. Old Dub said something that was significant that I wanted to highlight, which was, really the fight. I just gave an example of Jack Rafferty, and that's a fight that I want to see.
Russian billionaire?
Well, not that one. I'm trying to find it, but I can't find it. I was going to put it up there, but he was talking about the real fight, the Yoenis Celeste fight that's going down as well. But the reason I mentioned that fight as much is because I think entertainment value-wise, competitive fight-wise, I ain't going to lie to you. I think that Jack Rafferty,
I got it.
Mark Chamberlain fight is going to be a real shootout. That's what I believe. But the Yoenis Celeste in that card is going to be a good card too. Not to mention Jake Paul's MVP card that he's dropping tomorrow and on Saturday. Those cards are going to be good cards, bro. Good fights on there, man. I'm telling you. Boxing needs the support of the fans, man. The fans have to they don't have to do anything. I would encourage a fan to broaden the horizon, man. Broaden the horizon, because there's a good chance that your favorite fighter doesn't want to fight as much as you guys want him to fight. That he's just really here for a quick moment. He's done what he came to do. He's accomplished what he came to accomplish, and there's a good chance he might be done. And don't turn on him. Don't hate on him and say he was this, he was that. You can still be a fan of him. Let him go with grace and go into the sunset and do whatever he wants to do. Because if you're really here for boxing, there's a lot of boxing going on, bro. I mean, too much to even watch. You can't even keep your eye. I'm telling you, every freaking weekend is going down. Right. But we got to show up, because if we don't show up and there's no audience, what are they coming to perform for? Don't complain when your fighters in Riyadh performing and fighting over there. Don't complain when your fighters in Japan. Don't complain when your fighters in all these places that you can't get to, when you won't even support it on a free platform. Well, I mean, Netflix, you're paying monthly, but you guys got Netflix accounts anyway. Don't complain. Boxing is in a great place. The question is, are we going to be part of where it's going? Or are we going to sit on the sideline and act like it's non-existent when it's busting? It's going crazy all over the world. 96,000 people showed up to see Anthony Joshua fight Daniel Dubois. Boxing is a healthy place. It's okay.
Mm-hmm. And I put
with the Terence Crawford fight, is that fight in the afternoon or in the evening? Oh, sorry about that.
I'm sorry. I put that in the chat for you. I copied it and put it back in the chat that L Dub said. So shout out to L Dub.
You found it?
Yeah, it's under me.
Oh, right here. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what L Dub said.
Yeah. You know what I mean? That's one, and 154 is about to get crazy too, man. I mean, Jesus, there's so much going on, man. I'm sorry, bro. So much going on, bro. Like,
Bugs. Appreciate
so much going on in boxing, bro. And I'm gonna take some accountability also. You know, I'm here for the distractions just like everybody else. I want to cover boxing. And I want to talk about boxing, right? But I also want the channel to be successful, and I want to build it up like everybody else wants for their channels. And I want my subscribers to go up, and I want my likes to be on point for the algorithm, and all those little intangibles that people in the chat could give a damn about because they don't have a channel, right? Unless you do have a channel. So I try to balance it as much as possible, but it would help if you guys would show a little bit more interest in it as well when we're talking about it. Follow it, bro. Boxing is ill, bro. Boxing is ill, bro. Mm-hmm. Boxing is lit. This weekend on Tuesday, we should be talking about so many fights, and the panel should be up here like, yo, did you see this? But that's not what the conversations end up being around, right? So when I start talking about fights that happen, when I talk about Moses Atumo, when I talk about that, nobody has a real opinion. Hey, it was all right, you know what I'm saying? But yo, did you see this? You know, as a community, I want us to do better.
Oh, go ahead, Coach Eddie. I'm sorry about that.
No, you good, brother. With the Terence Crawford fight, I think this is a great opportunity. Terence Crawford and Canelo, excuse me. This is a great opportunity for the sport of boxing to be on display for the world to see. And I like the matchups on there. I think that all the matchups are competitive. So this is going to be like our sport is going to be under microscope, so to speak, on that particular day. If you remember the Pacquiao and Floyd fight, you know, that brought a lot of eyes to the sport, but it left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth. You know, and it was a hangover, you know, from that fight. You know, it's supposed to be the fight of the century, and this is what we get. I mean, when we got the fight of the century between Ali and Frazier, that was literally the fight of the century, and it lived up to the billing. So if this fight right here can live up to the billing, it turned out to be a phenomenal fight. It's going to put more eyes on the sport. Not only that, I think Dana White also is bringing more eyes back to the sport because a lot of the boxing fans went to UFC, you know, but a lot of people don't like to talk about that, but they got tired of boxing. They got tired of seeing these one-sided beatdown, these uncompetitive fights. And they're like, you already know what's going to happen. It's like watching a movie. You already know what the end is going to be. You want some type of suspense. So I think this is going to put more eyes back on the sport because a lot of people support the UFC, but a lot of people also support Dana White. Boxing at the White House is UFC at the White House is great. They used to do boxing matches at the freaking Playboy Mansion. That was televised. So I mean, just imagine you did a boxing match at the White House. You know how many eyes are going to be on that. You talking about crossover right there to a whole nother audience right there. You know, that whole conservative base or whatever. Cause Trump is a big boxing guy. People forget about that. This dude put on boxing matches all the time. Trump Plaza hosted many boxing matches. He's a combat sport guy. So anything that you can do to put eyes on your sport is great. And I think, like I say, this fight, is this. I mean, with Tank between Terrence Crawford and Canelo, it has the opportunity to do that. And I just want to touch on Tank real quick. I think the reason why Tank get a lot of backlash also because he talks a lot. It's like a kid, that's sitting on the porch behind the screen door with it locked, and he's running his mouth, and all the other kids out there playing in the street, and they tell him to come outside. He's like, "Nah, I ain't coming outside. I got to do my homework, or I got to wash some dishes or something." But he's steady talking about what he's gonna do when he does come out in the street, but he never comes out in the street. And it takes the first one to get on there and bash somebody's performance. He's always downgrading other fighters. He's always tearing them down. Now his fan base, him personally. So when he does something like this, he deserves all the backlash because he dishes it out. He dishes it out. But at the end of the day, I know that it's all about the bread for him, and it is what it is. But like I say, people try to defend it, but they act like Tank is just this perfect little angel, and he's not. This dude throws a lot of rocks. He busts out a lot of windows. He flattened out a lot of tires, and they say, "Oh, he's a good kid." No, he isn't. The guy's a menace, man. He's running around doing all kind of stuff in his boxing streets, and then y'all want to sit behind it and defend it. I'm gonna land right there.
Yeah, I think fighters talk. That's what they do, man. They do whatever. There's so much ego in boxing. Fighters talk, especially in
You gotta
this.
sell yourself, right?
Yeah, especially in this space. When in Rome, you know what I mean? Like, you don't see it happening in Japan as much, or in the UK as much. In the UK, it happens too, but here it's kind of part of the game, right? We've accepted it. It is what it is. I just always hope that stuff ends up in fights. You know what I'm saying? That's all I care about, right? Like, I always hope that kind of stuff evolves into a fight in the ring. And when it doesn't, that's when it becomes frustrating as a fan. It's like, what are y'all doing? Why are y'all doing all this? Y'all ain't even gonna fight each other. It is what it is. It gets petty. I saw Devin Haney the other day throw shots at Dillian White, right? Watch Dillian White get washed, and he completely was like, "Yo, this guy was telling me I looked, I had a horrible fight." He gonna take his opportunity to get his shot in when he sees the opportunity. He waits in the dark to come out in the light when you fall on your knee. If you've ever said anything negative about him, for him to get even, right? It's part of the game. It's part of the game. But at the end of the day, boxing needs us, bro. Boxing needs a boxing fan, man, to celebrate the sport, man, to really speak on the sport and cover the sport on a way broader scale. I know we can't cover everything because boxing has got so much going on. You just can't cover everything. But yo, man, there's a lot going on in boxing. Shout out to L-Dub who talked about Nikita Tszyu. Yeah, Nikita Tszyu is shaking it up right now as well. Tim Tszyu's younger brother. It's gonna be interesting to see. He's turning up to be, right now for me, he's turning up to be a great dance partner. You know what I'm saying? Like, gonna be the other side of great fights. Is he gonna be a champion though? I'm gonna watch him a little closer and see what's going on. You know what I'm saying? We'll see what's going on. 154 is a crazy division. He's got some work to do, but he's got some great fights that's gonna be ahead of him. And we got to talk about all that. Dub, I don't know why you don't. Dub, why don't you never hit the link? I would love for L-Dub for you to hit the link from time to time, bro, and just get us up to speed. I'll give you a little segment, a little space to get us up to speed with what we need to be looking at so we can cover the fights. That'd be awesome. You never hit the link, but I'm assuming the conversations aren't intriguing to you as well. I get it. You know what I'm saying? That you don't want to get caught up in talking about Tank or promotional companies and things of that nature. But I mean, the link is always out there. You never come up here, and there's always a space for you to come up here and at least get us up to speed, man. Let us know what we need to be looking at. Get us up to speed with what's going on in the space. You know what I mean? Promote the channel that you have by all means. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, consider it. You know what I mean?
L-Dub he got a golden age voice, man. Get up here, sound like Marvin Gaye. Not to us, of course.
No, I know he's old. I've listened to him on his channel. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm just messing around, man. I'm just messing around. Get up here and start singing. You'd be like, whoa, okay.
Come on, get us up to speed. Hit the link.
Yeah, no, he definitely do his thing, man. I'll be watching him. Shout out to L-Dub.
Shout out Carl Brown says, Rain, that's why I say you smart. You know what it is, and I understand. You don't like to hurt some people's feelings. I just call loyalty, bro. I understand. Yeah, I mean, look, man. Carl Brown, the reason I let you up today is because the conversation had a full panel. Everybody was talking, and I think you're a cool dude, bro, but at times you are a little distracting, bro. And you kind of throw the energy off a little bit when everybody's when you're trying to get something going streamlined. You're somebody I'd rather, one-on-one. I mean, pull you up real quick, let you talk. But in the group setting, sometimes you're distracting. But I appreciate you being here, man, and I appreciate you your input. I read what you say in the chat, but sometimes on the panels it gets a little diabolical. Salute to Idle Choice, man. Assalamu alaikum to the to my Aki right there. So I think fans personify their favorite athletes. Yeah, I mean that's part of the game. All of it's part of the game, and I celebrate it all, man. I have no problem with giving Tank his respect, and what I mean, like, yo, that dude Tank though. That I have no problem with that, but sometimes it just becomes a little too much.
I just think that if we're adults, and I think we have to take that Charles Barkley ride, right? Pause. I mean, we got to take that ride where he says, I mean, they're not our role models. Mm-hmm. It's cool to support them, being in support of an athlete because they do something you like, they have a style you like, or what I mean, they have a swag, whatever, the way they talk that sounds like your neighborhood, or maybe they're just a fly dresser. Whatever the case may be, there's nothing wrong with the support of an athlete. Supporting them is great, but when you start taking that persona on and you feel like you waving the signs up for them and you walking in the parades with them and you feel like you're really part of the team and that person don't even know you, I mean, maybe you want to get recognized. I don't know. So you push for it. Or maybe it's just you just can't help yourself and you just, overindulge and then it just creates a bad taste when things don't go the way you expect them to go. And unfortunately, I mean, we all at that point, as a kid, I used to, Deion Sanders was the guy, bro. And then he went to the Cowboys. I was like, this motherfucker. Oh, you know what I mean? So, it does have its moments. So I get it, you know what I mean? But you feel betrayal. And sometimes you shouldn't have to feel that way over another grown man, especially as an adult. So, I mean,
I think that that's another thing what you're saying, man. And I said it earlier, but you're highlighting again just to highlight the fact that, if you felt some kind of way about this and this hurt, come on, bro. I've seen it, bro. Audit, take it, revisit it, man. Revisit it because you shouldn't be feeling like that.
Well, I ain't even tell you that he went from the Cowboys to the damn Ravens, even worse because I'm a Steelers fan. I was like, oh my god, But anyway, I'm just messing with you, Clay. Yeah. But no, at the end of the day, man, we got to just know when we get to a certain point of our lives, like it's cool to support the guys, man, and support the whole sport, and just let that guy be your, your reason for watching the sport, not just that person, because then you signify a whole bunch of meaning as a fan, and being a sports fan as opposed to being a one-man band fan, and that's what it comes down to. Because Bobby Brown was able to definitely do his thing, Clay, right? When he broke away from New Edition, but he still went back. You know what I mean? So we have to understand that. Like he knew the group was bigger than him, and that's what it came down to. So yeah, exactly, Tim. He helped.
I'm looking at the Jake Paul card right here. Has anybody looked into that card? The fights that are on that card yet? And did you look at it? And
nope.
Did you? No, you haven't looked into it.
No.
Oh, he bounced. Damn.
Actually, I think I did get it. I think I got it from I think somebody sent it to me.
That card has got at least a headline on there. I'm trying to look at the actual fights that are on the card, and it's like
I've seen a few.
You guys got to work on these websites, man. Like, give me access to the fight card. You know what I mean? But I know how to get to it. I already know how to do it. But I can go through BoxRec. But it'd be nice if through your website, Most Valuable Promotion, I can access the fights. Maybe I'm just not navigating it right, but it's okay. I'm about to have access to it right now. No biggie. I'm about to get it right now. No biggie. No biggie. Let's see here. Let's do Jean Paul Rivera. Did I spell it wrong? I probably spelled it wrong. Jean Paul Rivera. No, I don't think I spelled it.
Oh, you did read the super chat. Never mind. I heard you. My bad.
Okay, I don't see it. What's going on here? There we go. No, there we go. I think this is it right here. Yeah, here we go. And the event. A lot of these fighters. This is some good fights too. A lot of O's is gonna go. A lot of undefeated fighters on this card, man. A lot of O's gotta go.
Carl Brown with the gold in the chat, man.
Salute, Carl Brown. Appreciate you, fam. He said, just some love, bro. And I never take this personal. I rock with you because I rock with you, bro. In real is real, fake is fake. Is not in between, straight like that. Keep doing your thing. I rock with you. No doubt, man. I appreciate you, brother. No doubt, man. I appreciate that, Carl Brown. Thank you for the support, man. Yo, Ant, are you here? Because now I don't even see your emblem. Are you here? I don't think he's here. I think. Okay. I think he's gone. Oh, there he is. Good morning.
Hey, waking up, sunshine. Look at you.
Reyes in the building. You gotta give it up for Angelo when he steps in the building. Hold on, let me get you up.
There you go.
Hold on. Salute. The crowd goes crazy as Angelo Reyes steps onto the floor.
There you go.
Where did he come from? They didn't think he'd be in the game today. He just came out of the back. Angelo Reyes steps on the floor. What's good, bro? What's good, Angelo? What's good with you, man?
Well, you know, man, living the transplant life. Just took the meds. So,
okay.
And you know, I heard Ray, and I've had some perspective, and I want to ask the crowd, man, just don't be cruel. Don't be cruel. All right. Because at the end of the day, it's Tank Davis's prerogative. All right. It's Tank Davis's prerogative.
Right.
I'm doing Ray because Ray is talking about Bobby Brown breaking out of
salute Ray for the super chat too.
Yeah. New edition.
New edition. By the way, Ray, I don't know if you knew the story about how when Bobby Brown did break out of New Edition, at one point when they did the touring, Bobby Brown was so popular that they had to switch it up, and Bobby Brown was the headliner, and New Edition was the one that was opening for him. So,
well, that was true, and he even brought Whitney Houston out there with him too, which is crazy, right? So he even had her. Once they did that, they made Whitney Houston part of the show as well.
Bobby was the star.
He was the name.
Like, y'all are all right, but I'm really the one who can do this on my own. He should.
He's a renegade.
He was him. In his time, it was him, and New Edition was looking at him like, I think he inspired Belle Biv DeVoe and all them to kind of step out and be like, yo, bro, this ain't working.
Did you ever see the story? They actually currently got the stories going all over YouTube right now. It's actually pretty funny.
I seen the movie.
Yeah, I seen it too. But you know, I grew up thinking I could dance and sing like them. You know what I mean? I had the baby voice,
killing it, bro.
Before I got the deep voice. Or
do y'all remember when they used to have the phone lines? The
Mr. Telephone Man. Did you know the guy was their producer in the video? The big guy that was on and Mr. Telephone Man. That was their producer. That was the guy that ran the show.
Oh.
Yeah, he passed away too. Yeah. It was so many. You would think I'm a fan, won't you? That's funny. I was.
Hey, so Dragonfly is saying that Raider Stadium barely has any seats left.
Yeah.
We not even talking about Netflix. We already know. And then I heard somebody else say, damn, the Gervonta Tank Davis, Jake Paul, you know, this is killing Canelo Crawford. So I want to give some perspective to everyone on all of this. First of all, you go through, you know, you listen to everyone else, and we had a great time on Blue Bloods Sports TV, right? That was fun.
Excuse me, by the way, Angelo, I was going off on there, but it was my opportunity to go off, bro, because
no, and I understand. I understood why. I understand.
Like, yo, Clint is going here.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Like, I understand. Like, normally when you're doing your channel, right?
I'm poised.
You're playing in the NBA, but when you went to Blue Blood Sports TV, that was Rucker Park, bro.
I got exactly. That's what that was. That was Rucker Park, bro. That was ain't no fouls out here, bro. Ain't no fouls. Go ahead, man. My bad. Go ahead.
No, but but listening to everyone. Oh, Shelton, of course, sir. Of course. Always love to have you on. So
Yeah.
but you listen to everyone, and I was I was up late last night a little bit talking to Brian Norman Sr. and Coach Hector Bermudez on Johnny's show at the Hangout Spot. Again, you guys would be asleep at this point because they're literally up until 1 a.m. West Coast time.
I gotta pop up there though, for real, because
I was awake. I was looking for the show last night because
bro, I'm gonna send it to you, Ray, because it's yeah, no, you would have loved it. I got a chance to interview a little bit because Coach Brian Norman Sr. pulled up. I was just asking him some questions, and it was refreshing to hear even his own take on just what's going on with boxing now, in a sense.
I like the Normans, man. I would love to have him on the show. They get a lot of help, but Brian Norman Sr. is a genuine person, and I F with him as a father. I think he's one of those guys, man. Straight up.
Yeah. No, and I think that's one of the cool things about Johnny's channel at the Hangout Spot is you honestly never know who's gonna pop up because he always has different people popping up. But man, Clay, that guy stays on for 6 to 7 hours, brother. And if you got that type of energy to stay on to let people keep coming through for boxing. 6 to 7 hours, man, that's a long ass time.
One night I'm gonna give him a night. Like I'm gonna give him a night where I'm just gonna rest up properly, and I'm gonna come out and hang out with him up there for real in real time.
Right. So anyway, a whole 24 hours passes through. We now see Tank Davis versus Jake Paul. And the first thing I'll say is boxing is so hot that everyone from TMZ to Forbes to everything, every news outlet out there. I'm honestly surprised that it's not even on like Fox Sports or Fox News or something because there's so much boxing that's being talked about between Canelo, Crawford, and Jake Paul, Gervonta Davis, right? And I'm just talking to the U.S. now because it's always been about how do we get the USA to come right back into wanting to talk about boxing, to making it so relevant that you could troll on it if you want to, you could hate on it if you want to, you could praise it if you want to, but there's at least a space, right? And now it's going to be very difficult for regular mainstream media on a national scale in the United States to not start getting their shit together to actually start understanding how this boxing works. And you might be surprised, Claymore Rain. You might be surprised that some of these mainstream media might have to listen to your show to get some of these information just so that they can prep for their shows.
You're welcome.
And again, there's like you said this on a Blue Blood Sport about how it's the YouTubers, right? Or it's the people that are here that have created the space that's really kept the lifeline up, right? You've given a space to let the hardcore fans speak, right? But you've also given a space to let the casual fans kind of understand maybe what's going on, maybe not. Now that things are starting to settle in, now that Netflix is involved, do y'all remember that when Netflix first started, they didn't even do sports, right? And now they're doing live sports. And not only are they doing live sports, but they're putting money into boxing in the biggest ways. I mean, this is insane to me how Netflix September, then Netflix November. Think about that. They just did Netflix July. So July, September, November, that's 3 Netflix live boxing shows back to back to back, right? Impressive to say the least. 300 million global subscribers. So I say to everyone who's complaining about Jake Paul, Gervonta Davis, calm your asses down because this is good for our sport. And as a Raiders fan, Shelton, I speak to this. It's all about the shield and never about the player. Players come and go, right? But we always protect the shield, right, Shelton? So it's the same thing with boxing, right? Fighters will come and go. and we'll get a chance to talk about them. But it's all about the boxing brand, and the boxing brand has been better than it's ever been when I think about it historically. But we got our brother Shelton who can actually tell us historically.
Well, Shelton taps in. That is a good observation and perspective that we haven't talked about today. Was the benefits of it and the benefits of the eyes on boxing. You know what I mean? And you know the undercards that Jake Paul always delivers whenever he puts on these events, and those fighters that are going to benefit off that. That's a real good observation. I'll be honest with you, man. On the broad spectrum of things, this is going to attract a lot of eyes onto boxing. In combination, of course, the week before the David Benavidez card in Riyadh, you know what I'm saying, with Devin and all them, it's going to be literally the weekend before that fight, I believe. I think I'm right. I think it's the weekend before.
Yes, sir. No, you are correct.
Yeah,
you are correct.
All right. So no, that there is a positive to be pulled from that. You know what I mean? A positive to be pulled for that. But I think,
of course,
because hold on. I think we benefit. There's no problem in watching that event, right? I'm going to watch that event. Probably going to cover it right here. I'll be honest with you. You know what I'm saying? Probably going to cover it. Watch everything else too. I want those casuals. I want the people who watch those events to watch the rest of boxing. Get interested in boxing. Dial into boxing because your favorite fighter might be leaving. He might be about done, like you said. And I love what you said. It's about the shield, not about the player. Make it about the shield, man. Use this opportunity to get into boxing, but be ready. Be ready to have this transfer and translate into the next chapter of boxing, bro. Because boxing is going through a change right now. It's changing, and I wonder sometimes if you guys are going to hang around, or if you're just going to sit there and just watch your favorite fighter when he retires. You know what I'm saying? Retire with him. Boxing needs the fans, man. American boxing needs American boxing fans.
Well, we've seen this. We've seen this before. We've seen this in numerous different spaces. We've seen it numerous different times. Ali retired. Everybody thought boxing was dead. It wasn't.
It went right there. It went right to Sugar Ray.
Sugar Ray Leonard retired. They thought it was dead. It wasn't. Hagler, all those guys left. They thought it was dead. It wasn't. Now Floyd left. They thought it was dead. It wasn't. You know what I'm saying? It's not Tyson. It's the same thing. When these guys go, and I'm the number one. I think I am the number one Terrence Crawford fan in America. I do believe.
Ooh, there's a lot of people that take stakes with that I know. But go for it.
I don't know, Sheldon. You're sitting up way too high at Allegiant Stadium to be calling yourself the number one fan. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
There you go.
What I'm saying is, I say I'm the number one fan because at least I'm going.
Ooh,
so
okay. I didn't say nothing because I'm a big fan too, but I ain't going. So I'm say my lane.
But the thing is, right? I'm ready for him to go. I'm ready for him to get out of the way,
right? And
let some of these young dudes come on up, so we can have some new stars in boxing. And like you said, Clay, you made an excellent point. And Angelo, you made an excellent point. This event, even though I'm going to watch the undercard, but I'm not going to watch the main event because I don't care about Davis or Jake Paul. I'm just being honest. I'm not going to watch it. I don't care about it. But I'm going to watch the undercard because those are real fights. That's going to put a lot of eyes on the sport. And with the events we got coming up after that event, maybe it'll pull some people over to watch those events. Being that a lot of people know who Tank Davis is just because of his arrest record. And a lot of people know who Jake Paul is because he's all over the place. So that is a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It's only bad for his fans because the only problem I have, I'm going to shut up after this. The only problem I have with the whole deal is that you can't say you're the best when you don't fight the best.
Right.
You cannot say you're the best when you don't fight the best. That's the only issue I have with Tank Davis. No other issue.
I agree. I don't
think he says he's the best. To be honest with you, he doesn't even really comment on it that much.
Right.
But I think the fans really, need to kind of.
No, he said things like these guys are on my level. These guys aren't on my level. Well, what level are you on? We don't know what level you are because you've never tested yourself. We don't know what level you're on.
But he's talking to the box like that's that ego shit I was talking
right.
about. Like,
that's that because remember they got to sell themselves. They're not a team. They're individuals. It's like almost like promoting like a wrestler. They got to sit out there and sell themselves to the highest bidder. I mean, that's just it is what it is. On that note, but I get what you're saying. You know what I mean? I understand sometimes it can get a little cringe-worthy, but I don't think Tank ever did anything that was really cringe-worthy, in my opinion. I don't think he ever did. I think he's always been a showman, to say the least. You know what I mean? He has some little antics here and there, but those antics are all for show. They're all for building the fight. And he was a great fight builder, in my opinion. I don't think he's ever went out of lines and he got into arguments with people over, why he shouldn't fight him and this and that and what they did. And people didn't like those takes. But as far as him talking about himself and being self-reflecting, he all did it with great showmanship, I thought.
Yeah. I mean, generally speaking, yeah, he does, man. I'm not gonna throw him under the bus like that. I am gonna say that that he, like with Terrence Crawford specifically, speaking back to that, I love that take because I'm ready for him to retire too. I ain't gonna lie, but I want him to get his there's a part of me that wants him to get his respect, you know what I'm saying, or get his, what's the word? Respect could be one word, but get his just due. There it is. I want him to get his just due, and I understand how he feels to a certain degree. You know what I mean? On a personal level, I resonate with him on that level to where he's like, no, I'm going to go ahead and make this fight happen. I want him to get his money, and I want him to get one last chance, you know what I'm saying, to show the world like I'm really like that. I'm really super special in this era of boxing. I'm really the pound for pound best fighter in the world. And, one last shot, because at the end of the day, a lot of people are going to still, throw shots at him no matter what happens. But one last shot to kind of make that argument, for the boxing space. Like, yo, bro, I keep it 100, bro. I'm really generationally like that guy, like move the whole needle, did all the great things you want fighters to do. I did that. I unified my divisions. I became champions in every division I was in. I became undisputed in 2 weight classes, 3 weight classes if I beat Canelo Alvarez. I really checked all those boxes, and I think you guys be playing with my face, guard, a little too much. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think too, speaking to that point, Clay, that in order for shows like this one or other shows that gives you a friendly space to speak your mind, people like Shelton or myself, we do our best to give grace to the youngsters, right? And because to the youngsters, their best fight that they may have ever seen is I don't know, like a Keith Thurman versus someone, right? Or a Sean Porter versus someone. And people like me and Shelton have been watching boxing for so damn long that it's like when we are thinking about Canelo Crawford, we think about the fact that we already saw Nopolis versus Monzon. We saw Sugar Ray Leonard versus Marvin Hagler, right? And there's like just a differences in the sets too of how what was it, Shelton? We were on the show together the other night, and you said one of those fights was on a Monday night. I think he said Ali Frazier 1 was shown on a Monday night. Right. That's just insane. And I welcome that we're coming back to that era. We're coming back to the era of Tuesday nights are going to be a thing for boxing.
USA, right?
Yeah.
Boxing after dark, right?
Yeah.
Boxing after dark. You had MSG on sometimes Sunday, sometimes Friday.
That's right.
Friday night fights. Fox Sports and FS1 both had fights. One on Thursday and one on Saturday. You had ESPN that had 2 different shows. They had a Wednesday show, and sometimes they would go Thursday. They had the top ranked show, and then you had the boxing on ESPN. Would be like I think the night before. So there were always fights going on daily and regularly in that era, and that was not too long ago. That's recent history. You know what I mean? That's not like less than 20 years away. Like you figure Floyd was fighting in 2007, 2003, 2001. You know what I mean? Over there on free TV.
Right.
Let's and I just want to throw this out there too. Fun fact: a lot of people don't realize Gervonta already worked with Jake Paul. You know what I mean? He was on the MVP card already because a lot of people are like, why is he going there? He was on the undercard of Floyd Mayweather's card with Logan Paul.
Oh, Logan with Logan.
Right.
Oh,
Right?
okay. All right.
So
Cool.
remember that, guys. This is not the first time that he was ever outside of the PBC. A lot of people were like throwing that out there, like, oh, he left the PBC. Nah, this is not the first time. So just a fun fact.
And I'll give you this one too, because Clay was talking about how, you know, Bud's finally going to get the stage that he deserves, right? In the sense that here we go, 300 million global subscribers, free TV, right? The hype is going to get put up. He's the underdog in a lot of sense. I'm just saying that in all honesty, right? When you talk on a global narrative, more people are interested in, can Bud actually pull this off rather than tearing it down. And whatever, if you're a show that wants to tear Canelo Crawford down, then that's on you. I'm just saying that I'm not going to speak about, well, you know, Canelo's not really that good, or he never really was that good, or he's kind of basic. Like, you can say that, or you can actually look at the narrative that Canelo might arguably be the greatest Mexican fighter of all time. You could. I mean, we could split hairs and we could argue that too, right? That Canelo actually held the helm for boxing for so long that it made people angry. You know how that happens to like famous stars, right? You're there so long, and so many people love you so much that then a lot of other people start to hate you, right? Canelo in some ways is almost like the Taylor Swift of boxing, where you really kind of want to listen to the beat, but you don't want to admit that you do. Right. And Canelo's kind of like that guy. Like you may hate on Canelo, but you're tuning in because you kind of want to see what he looks like now. Right. And now for the first time, Terrence Bud Crawford gets to share this stage, and we're going to be wondering, can he pull it off? Is this the time at 38 years old? Can this happen? And I say that to say that I don't think it's an accident that Netflix shows it in September. Then Netflix shows Jake Paul, Gervonta Davis in November. Netflix is one company, so they're gonna wash the other hand. They're gonna use the Jake Paul, Gervonta Davis to continue to pump up the Canelo Crawford, and vice versa, right? That's what they're gonna do. It's actually gonna help each show out. So for earlier in the comment section, somebody said this is gonna hurt Canelo Crawford. I disagree. It's going to help Canelo Crawford.
Yeah.
The more people talk about Netflix, Jake Paul, Gervonta Davis, the more people are going to realize about that. You know, like I'm talking about the casuals. The casuals who love Jake Paul are going to be like, oh shit, there's another fight on Netflix. Oh, it's September 13th. I don't know those guys, but fuck it, it's on Netflix. I'm going to go watch them. Like that. All it's doing is it's helping more
people, at a minimum, people know Canelo. They might not know Terrence, which they might not, but they know Canelo. They're gonna be, oh shoot, Canelo's, even if it's off the strength of that. I think that fight is gonna be successful in spite of whatever these people talking about. That fight's gonna do what it does, bro. Because that fight holds a certain place in the heart of a real boxing fan. Boxing fans, that fight is gonna hold a place in their heart. They want to see the questions answered. They want to see this fight get made. Real boxing fans really want to see it. Casuals will catch it, and if the fight delivers as far as entertainment value in the main event, then this fight is going to make the Jake Paul and Tank Davis fight bigger. You know what I'm saying? Because it comes on before. That's what's going to ultimately end up happening. They're going to operate off the momentum this fight gets, because that fight is 2 months later after this fight.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, I'm wondering, did you and Ray get that note that I sent you? Because it's at least written, and I know I've talked to you guys about this before, about the champions of the other countries. Because I sent you a top 5, right? Mm-hmm. And don't you find it interesting that currently today, top 5 countries that have current world champions in boxing?
Right, I'm looking at it right now.
Right, Ukraine got 4. I guess they're calling it 4 because Usyk got all 4 belts, right? Which is fine. Puerto Rico has 5. And they say 5 because Oscar Collazo has 2 of them.
Right.
And then the other 3 champions are Xander Zayas, Rene Santiago, and Subriel Matias, right? And I've been telling you guys about Japan. Japan got 9, right?
Yeah.
And in a way, obviously, you could say, well, he holds 4, but Junto Nakatani holds 2. Takai holds 1. Takai's about to fight, by the way. Yabuki has 1, and Takami has 1, right? Mexico has 10 because Alvarez has 4 of them. Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez has 2. Navarrete has 1. Rafael Espinoza, the towering inferno of the 126, has 1. Eduardo Sugar Nunez has 1. And then Garcia Perez, who had 1, I think, or no, I think that might be a different Garcia Perez. I have to check back. But the interesting thing to me is I've been telling you guys about the 21 people that hold USA world champions, right? And they counted as 22 because of the multiple belts, but there's that many people. And yet, like I said, Stephen A. Smith won't talk about it, or Shannon Sharp won't talk about it, or regular people. So hopefully
Shannon talks about it with his show. Unfortunately, Fortunately, ESPN has that on lock. So, when they got rid of Max Kellerman, they're winning boxing.
Right. Which, by the way, Max Kellerman's supposed to have a regular series on Netflix that they're going to announce. And he's going to be kind of like a narrator for like some boxing storytelling. So that'll be nice to have that again.
Right.
And I've yet to hear the announcement, but I would think that I know that John Anik from the UFC and Max Kellerman are doing color and play-by-play for Canelo Crawford, but
that's cool.
They have to announce Jim Lampley, right? Am I?
I was gonna say, is Jim like the main spokesman, and those guys just the analysts and the reporter? But that's for you to answer.
Yeah. I mean, I'm waiting because I know Jim Lampley just did another one. For
Jim
turkeys.
Lampley will be working on. You asking like, are we talking about the event? Is Jim Lampley?
Yeah, the Canelo Crawford event, and actually be like the main guy.
I think it's him and Max, right? Max.
No. Well, they first announced Max and John Anik.
Right, because of the UFC.
But they haven't said anything about Jim Lampley yet.
That's
I think Jim's going to be up there.
Somebody's got to be the reporter. Someone's going to be the analyst. Someone's going to be the.
No Mannix or Coppinger. Coppinger's trash. Mike Coppinger's a trash commentator. I don't like listening to him at all. He is.
Well, he's got the job, brother.
Yeah, he's got a job. I don't mind him doing his like journalist thing.
Yeah, I was
I
gonna say
don't like his commentating. Like I don't like to hear him commentating.
He's too soft spoken, no excitement. Like
he has no sense of humor. He's got a weird sense of like people will say a joke and he'll completely miss it. It'll completely go over his head. Mannix is decent to me. I don't mind.
What's up, Blaze? Long time.
Blaze, salute, King. What's good? Yeah.
Man, it's crazy. The Breakfast Club, they're talking about Gervonta Davis versus Tank Davis, and it's 2 women panelists talking about it. I'm telling you, man, this is a pop star type.
Absolutely. Listen, this is the counter. I think this is the counter to the TKO main card. I'll be honest with you, and I don't mean that in a negative sense. I'm saying like star power. You have, like I said, this Canelo fight is going to be so big. A lot of people ain't understanding it. The Crawford fight. Let me correct myself for the Crawford fans out there. Canelo and Crawford fight. It's going to be so big because of
I'm good with that.
The demographic and the global recognition of Canelo Alvarez is going to be insane. Not to mention the hard-earned middle American, poverty-driven brotherhood of the hood is going to be supporting Bud Crawford. Not to mention the hardcore boxing fans are going to be supporting Bud Crawford because it's a feat that we haven't had in a long time.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a stage that is going to be recognizable when we see it at the end of the day, and it's going to be greatness. And it doesn't matter who wins that fight. The fact is, it's what it's building up to be.
He win. No, it matters to me. I want Terrence to win the fight. No, but boxing, no, seriously, the fight being an entertaining.
We ain't done that part yet, Clay.
Is the more important part about it. I ain't gonna
Okay,
lie.
yeah. Fandom is coming out there, Angelo. I'm just talking.
No. It's okay. I mean, that's what
I
my
want Terrence
point
to win
about how.
too. I do.
Yeah.
I had one point. I had a time where I didn't even see him having a chance of beating Canelo, and then I just started analyzing it and thinking about it more and more. I was like, you know what? He might be the right guy for the job. You know, so,
right.
You know,
right. And shout out T Bug says Tim Bradley's my guy, bro. I like Tim Bradley. I don't care what nobody says. I don't agree with everything, but I like Tim, man. I think Tim got that energy. I like when he be talking his ish, bro. I like his new YouTube channel, man. I rock with Tim, bro.
Yeah, Tim should be a Funko Pop in real life, right? You know what a Funko Pop is, right, Clay?
What?
A Funko Pop. I said Tim Bradley should be a real life Funko Pop.
A Poco Pop. I don't know what that is.
You don't know what that is? One of these things? His head's so damn big.
Oh,
look.
Yeah.
You got that big ass damn paws head.
Tim is my guy, bro. I rock with Tim, man.
He's a good dude, man. He's very real though. It's just, but surreal, I should say. He goes over the top a little bit, in my opinion. But hey, he do it for him. He's doing it for what he need to do it for.
Also, with the Jake Paul branding, the fact that, for example, they are starting to do a lot of hype ups for tomorrow and Saturday. The fact that it's 10 fights tomorrow, 10 fights on Saturday, half of them are on YouTube tomorrow, and then half of them are on YouTube on Saturday. The other half is free if you have a DAZN subscription, which truly means it's going to end up on YouTube anyways, even if you end up missing it for any reason at all. And I say that to say that if you're an NFL fan, but you don't really want to watch any of the preseason games tomorrow, Jake Paul gave you a space, and Nikisa Vidarian gave you a space to go ahead and watch some free boxing and get caught up, right? So again, there was a time where we were like, I don't know, Clay, and again, I'm not. This is not negative or gonna troll on a certain company morning time for me, but there was a time period from 2013 to 2023 guys where it almost felt like for us we wanted boxing in the US to be so great that we were willing to drink sand, even though because we were thirsty, you know what I mean? We were so thirsty for it that we were willing to drink the sand. That's how bad we wanted it, right? And now we just getting thrown water all over our faces so damn much that it's like, whoa. And I think that's why a lot of the channels who like will find, because it's easy to hate. Is it true, Claymore, that any one of you guys, Ray, Clay, I could wake up in the morning and I could troll on every single thing that's happening in boxing?
Right.
That's the easy way out, though, if I'm being honest, right? And I say this in a very friendly manner to all the content creators in the boxing space, right? If the goal was we were so angry that we weren't getting the fights that we wanted, we were so angry that people didn't understand the greatness that we saw in people like a Terrence Crawford, who barely anyone really knew in the U.S. You know what I mean? And this is no disrespect to Bud and his greatness. This is more saying that Top Rank or whichever company that was trying to push him couldn't quite get the American public to want to see it for whatever the infrastructures were or whatever the walls were that wasn't broken down yet. But in the last 2 years, we've gotten best versus the best. Right. We've gotten a pound per pound person versus another pound for pound person, right? We've been getting it so damn much that some of these kids, I'm talking about if you're 35 and under, some of you kids don't realize how lucky you are, how so very lucky you are that when Claymore was maybe a teenager or when really Ray was it, you know what I'm saying?
Are they really though, Angelo? When you think about it, are they really? Because all they got is cell phones, man. We had it rough, like, and I mean a good rough, right? We had to go outside till the sun came up, it went down. We got to ride wherever we wanted on our bikes. We didn't get no stipulations on things. There was no No curfews, none of that stuff, man. We was out just doing our thing. Jumping off of ramps, no helmets. Think about the stuff we did. You know what I mean? Roughhouse basketball without arguments. Didn't have to worry about where bullets were coming from. Excuse me. You know what I mean? I hate to say that, but we didn't have to worry about that growing up. I mean, they happened. You had those cases, but they weren't like they are now. Like it's such a bad time now where kids have choices to make. You know what I mean? When they get outside those doors. And a lot of parents don't even let their kids out because of the fact that it's so much different than what it was. You know what I mean? If you don't involve them in sports, then, you know, a lot of these kids don't even go outside to the front porch. Yeah. We were running around barefooted, bro, playing kickball on the street. Come on, man. Like, it was different.
We were drinking out the holes on the side of the house. In the crib,
you ain't drink out no holes on the side of the house, did you?
Yes, I did, bro. When I
ain't know they had grass in the city. I ain't going.
Nah, bro. I was in Long Island. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay.
We had a yard, but hell yeah, we was drinking out the hose, bro. Straight up, bro. My mom was like, "You ain't coming in and out my damn house all day." I had one of those moms.
Keep that door closed, right?
You inside or you outside? What is it? Stop playing with my damn house.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
Well, I also say that to add to Ray's, Clay, and then I'll let you go. Is that like Jake Paul or not, like him or not, right? The fact of the matter is that guy was a YouTuber who ended up wanting to be a boxer so badly that he started training it to the point where he then started setting up stages to showcase it to his
people,
gamer YouTuber community. And a lot of those kids are starting to grow up now to want to do boxing themselves. And a lot of those people in this Top Rank just signed someone. I think his last name's Bio. He came from a YouTuber community space. Like that's like he's a Jake, like he would be what you would call like he's in that Jake Paul era, right? But he actually did go to the amateurs and he understood the idea of both worlds. He understood the idea that, yeah, I could be a gamer, but I could also be a boxer. I could do both, right? And we're gonna have that now. So like Jake Paul or hate him, he did do that at least. He did that for all the kids that were maybe starting to get fat, and they started thinking, well, shit, maybe I can box. Jake Paul's fucking doing it. Why not? Maybe I can do it, right?
Yeah. And shout out to Rick Timms in HD, man. You right. Knock, run. Daggone flies in the house, Clay. Letting flies in my house. Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to keep doing it all.
No, it's real though. That's how I was raised, bro. My mom was on that time. Like you outside, you outside. You inside, you inside. And go wash your ass before you sit on my damn damn couch in the living room.
Yeah, need to get out my fridge, which is not washing your hands. Yo, all that.
It's all almost done. What you in and out that damn fridge for? Like you putting groceries in anyway. Let me stop.
Yeah. That's what I was saying. Yo, it's crazy. I ain't mean to go there, but yo, memory lane is a fun thing when you talk about the times, right?
Hold on a second. Let me see. Clay, what do you think about Marco Antonio Barrera collecting his pension from the CS? I didn't know about that. 158. I didn't know about that. I didn't know Marco Antonio Barrera did that. That's why you need to hit the link, L-Dub, and come up here and get us up to speed, bro, from time to time. Come up here and give us 5 to 10 minutes of your time, brother. Brother. That being said, though, it's about that time for me. I got to go to the gym. I didn't go to the gym this morning. That's why I started so early. I appreciate everybody who came up on the panel today. Everything Boxing was up here today. That was fun. Ant McQueen was up here today. I'm trying to remember Coach Eddie, of course. Shelton Moore was up on here. Obviously, you know, you guys
Rich, the newcomer. Rich said he loved the show.
Yeah, man. I appreciate all the new people that showed up today as well. All the support, all the color in the chat we had today, man. Shout out to RC, Timmy T88, C Irvin the Wiz, Adel Choice, and you Ray. I appreciate you. Carl Brown supporting the channel today as well, man. Support to thank you for all you guys for the color you put in the channel. Get on that Stairmaster, Clays. Get it in. I don't like that Stairmaster, bro. I don't do the Stairmaster, bro. I don't like that.
You want to slim down? That'll get you slim.
I don't care, bro. I don't like it. Maybe I might try it today, but today I actually plan on
you gotta do like an hour though. You gotta do like an hour a day for like 3 months.
I ain't doing
you'll lose that weight quick.
Hell no, bro. I'm cutting weight right now, perfectly on the way I'm doing it. I'm altering the diet, and we out there working. We working, but I don't like that Stairmaster. But anyway, I don't want to get too caught up. I don't like that shit though. I tried. I'm like, I don't like this damn Stairmaster. I'd rather do the elliptical or something. But
Hey
appreciate.
Clay, can I ask you, because I missed it. I gotta go back. But what was your opening soliloquy this morning?
What was I talking about this morning? This morning, I mean, obviously, I started off with the Tank Davis situation, and I tried to tell everybody the big thing I pushed this morning was, I put more onus on the fans, and I politely and respectfully asked the fans to audit the way they've been supporting boxing over the past couple of years, because a lot of people really were disturbed. A lot of fans of Tank, specifically, there was a video that dropped by a content creator, and you could see him speaking into the camera to Tank and just showing how much of a fool he felt like Tank made of him as a fan and all the other fans, and how Tank, you could see the disbelief for the first time throughout the whole entire Tank journey. You saw the realization that Tank didn't give a damn about nothing that you guys are talking about. And also, as I was watching the video, I said to myself, damn, bro, I don't even think Tank is watching you right now.
Damn. I was thinking that same thing.
I could see that you're speaking to him. Like, you're in the camera speaking to him. And I don't think he even has a clue. And I think that's important to understand that, because I think a lot of people really make friendships with people who don't know them. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, yo, bro, he's just a fighter, bro. And he's moving the way he wants to move, and he's doing what he wants to do, and he doesn't care. And I've said this a long time ago, by the way. Boxing fans in America have to realize that boxers have learned to tune you guys out, because the rhetoric that comes out of some of these content creation spaces is diabolical. You know, people like Jerron Boots Ennis, Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson have learned to not listen to you guys no more. Shakur used to sit there and respond to a lot of people and get into it, but even him in interviews has said, I had to learn to tune you guys out. You guys have nothing to share that they care to hear. You know what I mean? So a lot more support. A lot more support from the boxing fan. I'd like to see that for American boxing.
I want to add then and tell you guys. So Brian Norman was with us for, I want to say, an hour, right?
Right.
So, and he was supposed to leave, but he came in to kind of give some advice to a young amateur boxer. And you know, Coach Hector Bermudez, if you guys aren't familiar, he coaches Yohan Lee Hernandez, Rohan Polanco. You know, he's coached Jonathan Guzman. There's tons, but anyway, so I'm in the panel with Coach Hector Bermudez at the hangout spot with Johnny, and you know, he's just talking about, hey, which fighters do you think is going to grow that we'll talk about 100 years from now, right? And obviously, you guys know that I love Bam Rodriguez. I think he's the Mexican American version of Manny Pacquiao, and it's going to be almost impossible for anyone to have a chance to win 8 divisions and 8 world titles, right? It's very difficult to do that. But if anyone could, I think it would be Bam Rodriguez, if he really makes his trajectory go all the way up, and he could take his 5'4", 5'5" frame and get more muscle. So anyways, I found it interesting that you said that, Clay, that here's a YouTuber in this space, right? Looking at a camera, maybe begging or pleading to talk to Gervonta. And Gervonta maybe has never even been on his channel.
No,
and yet Brian Norman Jr. and Brian Norman Sr., they're talking to the regular people, man. And that's why I like them.
Let me give you
so
some
much.
perspective on Brian Norman, because this particular creator, Brian Norman, popped up to talk. And what did they use that opportunity to do? Scrutinize him, call him a duck, criticize him for his decision on the way he handled himself in the negotiation between Brian Norman Jr. and Jerron Boots Ennis at 147. He burnt. That's what the fighters don't come on to these channels for, right? They don't come on.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. With me, and you know this, Clay, if this whenever this happens, even on this channel, why lead a conversation, any conversation at all? Why lead it with negativity, y'all?
100%.
Why lead it with negativity, right? Let's lead it with positivity first. And then if you'd like to ask a controversial question of any type of sort, that's your prerogative. All right, Ray? But when Brian Norman Sr. came on, I believe one of the first things that I said to him is I was congratulating him on the fact that he's had all this success, because people forget that it's not like Brian Norman Sr. didn't know what it was like to be a boxer. He was a boxer. He's one of the guys, if you guys want to look back on tape, and if you don't know this, that's okay. It's not really your fault, because American boxing was kind of at a weird place.
Yeah.
But he fought John Pascal 10 rounds when John Pascal first was coming up, and won like the NABA, the NABO, the NABF. So Brian Norman Sr. was a journeyman style guy that was was going to give you a tough as nails type type of a fight, right?
Yeah.
And I say that because even last night he almost is like proud of saying it, that everything that he did in his past is for his son now. And whatever happened, win or loss, it's for his son now. And he even talked about the fact that he likes coaching his son, but he doesn't necessarily want to coach anyone else. But Brian Norman Jr. loves boxing. And if anyone was going to be a coach later, it's going to be Brian Norman Jr. that's going to want to coach, because he loves it so much. So I speak to that. So what did Brian Norman, like Brian Norman Sr. or don't like Brian Norman Sr., just don't judge him until you get to know him a little bit. The fact that this guy was a boxer and going through the stuff that he did as a single father, I believe at that time. And he raises a kid to be undefeated world champion at 24 years old. A kid who I haven't seen Brian Norman Jr. get arrested, or I haven't seen Brian Norman Jr.
No, Brian Norman Jr., when he speaks, have you ever watched his interviews?
Oh yeah, no. I love him because he's very humble. He's
humble and he loves the sport, bro. Like I love.
Yeah, he loves the sport. Right. So I'm saying that because I'm saying this to the people that may be listening to us that's in that younger demographic group. You have an American hero right now that maybe you never got a chance to rock with Bud Crawford, because you rocked with Bud Crawford in the later part. But this kid's only 24 years old. Up until Xander Zayas won a few weeks ago, Brian Norman Jr. was the youngest champion that we had, right? So if you're an American and you want to rock with someone from Atlanta, right, who's very honest, loves boxing, doesn't really cuss all that much, has no controversy to him at all. You can watch him jump rope, and when he jump ropes, it reminds you a little bit of Sugar Ray Leonard, right? Like he's just having fun with it all, right? Like take the positivity of that, and the fact that his dad is so open that when I asked him the question, who would you like? Who is it? Like, what if you had a next scenario? His dad is so locked in that his dad even said, "We don't want to look past Devin Haney. We don't want to look past Devin Haney, but we understand the question." And what they would like to do is have an Atlanta homecoming show. And the names that he mentioned is the top of the list really is Rohan Polanco. Rohan Polanco, he said, is number 4. And this is what I mean, Ray. I'm kind of sharing this story. You guys could go back and watch it from last night if you want. But Hector Bermudez is Rohan Polanco's coach. Right.
And Rohan Polanco is a fighter that wants to fight. He wants to fight Brian Norman. Yeah.
Right. But here's the thing: the fact that Brian Norman Sr. is not one of the people that speak on this. Well, you don't deserve to fight my son. Well, what exactly have you done? No, Brian Norman Sr. is like, you know what? I like that fight. In fact, I want a Rohan Polanco, and he's undefeated, and it's going to be a good fight. And it's going to be a good fight for the people. And he and when I commented and said, I really appreciate the fact that both you two coaches are not on this space speaking over each other, or like trying to cut each other down. But if anything, you're just being honest. Hector Bermudez has a fighter who's undefeated that's on the track to becoming a world champion. Brian Norman Sr. has a fighter that's undefeated who already is the world champion. And rather than not giving each other a chance to fight, or even holding a conversation for us fans that it's a possibility that they can fight, right? The why do you think, Clay, you deserve to fight me narrative? Instead, it's the reverse. Hey, Clay, you're a good fighter too, and I respect you. Why don't we fight each other next, right? That is so refreshing to see. I think that's going to become the trend, right? I think this whole Gervonta Davis ducking a Shakur and a Devin, I think that narrative is starting to go away now. because everybody's getting paid no matter what anyways. So now everybody just wants to fight the best. And they actually exist, Clay. They actually exist. Brian Norman Sr., he exists, right? Hector Bermudez, he exists, right? Rohan Polanco exists. All of these fighters that want to fight other fighters, and they're not afraid to lose. They're not afraid to maybe lose and then bounce back. They all exist. Moses Itauma, 20 years old, saying, I'll fight Usyk now. They exist, bro. They exist. And I love it for this space. Absolutely love it.
No doubt, no doubt, no doubt. I love it, man. All right, guys. 3.5 hours in. I'm going to the gym. Go get me a Celsius. Give me some energy.
Shit is nasty,
but they do the job, man. 0 sugar, 0 carbs, and they got a bunch of caffeine in it. Gets me there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it gets me there. I appreciate you guys, man. Thank you. Great show today. You guys already know we'll be reconvening on Tuesday, maybe Monday night. Who knows? But Tuesday night, worst case scenario. Probably Tuesday night, actually, now I think about it.
I'm off.
So, we can build like as we always do. Great fights this weekend. I would like to give us an assignment. I'm going to give myself the same assignment. Let's watch these cards. Let's watch these fights, and let's talk about these fights on Tuesday. Let's go down these fights. We should have 20 somewhat odd fights that we should be going through, and what a great show that might look like. Let's see what that looks like on Tuesday. You know what I'm saying? Let's have a good time, man. Thank you, guys. Appreciate everybody in the building, man. It's that boy Rain. It's the ATP Combat Media Show, man. Y'all know how it is at this point.
Yo.
Who knew I would make it this far? They never believe me. Yeah, I would never drop the ball. I know I make it look easy. Yeah, Mayweather with the defense. I don't care what a critic got to say. I got them picking up the pieces. That to me, you really playing with your life. I'm about to come and run it all back. I'm the new era, about to snap back. You ain't fit.